All right, RJ. Is this gonna be it? The first dud of this series, just because we decided to watch it?
Yeah, you know what? I feel like it. Well, there's been so much excitement packed into these first two games of the Battle of Alberta that yeah, maybe we're in for a bit of a letdown tonight. Let's hope not. I mean, as I was
Yeah.
watching Game Two, I texted you. I'm like, Dylan, we need to stream some of this series. Have to do it, and had to do it right away. So happy to be with all of you for Game Three.
Yeah. Yeah, you missed game one, I missed game two. It's the
Funny
right
how
way to
that works.
do it. Yeah. So we at least get to watch one together. Hopefully that doesn't, unravel it all, but I don't see it being that way. I mean, these teams are pretty evenly matched.
Yep.
They both got offenses that can score and goaltenders that can't make saves. So anytime that's the matchup you're looking at, you're looking at having a pretty fun time. How's it going, Brian? How's it going, Ty? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it should be an exciting one. Do we want to go ahead and get the obvious elephant in the room out of the way, though? RJ, talk about the game
Sure.
earlier.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it.
I
You start. You start.
All right, I didn't watch either of the earlier games. I've been busy just recuperating for the last couple days,
Yep.
and all my sister's graduation stuff. But yeah, obviously that results lightning up 3-0. That series is over. We all know it. And yeah,
Yep.
picking a Stanley Cup champ on a whim, and then having to work backwards and defend them from there. It went about
Yeah.
as well for me as you could expect it to.
Pretty much. I mean, the Panthers just haven't looked right all playoffs. It's continued in this series with the Lightning. And credit to Tampa. I mean, they played really well. It's
Yeah,
not all the Panthers looking off, but I mean, you were talking about Vasilevsky having a bad series at some point, predicting it might be this one.
yeah,
So far, it
not yet.
hasn't been. Panthers with 3 goals through 3 games, and Vasi looks as sharp as he always does.
Yeah, and then there was that Huberto quote or whatever earlier of like, well, we know he's gonna give us one. like, and I'm like, okay, but like you could kind of say that about maybe every goaltender. Like, okay, we're probably gonna get one tonight. Like, you don't expect a shutout, but like, it was just a weird quote. I don't know the context around it. I just saw the quote going around on Twitter,
Right.
and I was just like, who says that?
Yeah, well, a couple things about that. One, he kind of already gave them one too. Was
Hmm.
it their goal last game? That one that was really
Yeah,
soft. And then two, it like I kind of get it because when you're down 3-0, you have to just start playing mind games.
yeah,
That's the only way you can kind of like I'm remembering the Sharks Kings 2014 reverse sweep, which I have thought about all too much over the past 8 years since it's happened. And one of the things the Kings were saying is, like we saw the fear in their eyes, but
hmm,
you kind of have to like say that stuff after you at least win game four. You've got to
yes,
win like at least one game before it makes any impact. Like you go in, you win game four in Tampa, and all of a sudden, like, okay, you can start being like, yeah, no, they look shaky to us. And
yeah.
and then you try and get in their heads a little bit. I don't know that it'll really work against this Tampa team, but like I get the strategy, but in this moment, not yet.
Yeah, it's all too easy for Tampa to turn around and just say, "Well, that reeks of desperation." So,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I think we'd all understand where that's coming from. So that series, I was at least hoping for a good series. Just for whatever reason, just not there. Florida, they got their power play goal though.
Yeah, they did finally get a power play goal. Thought that might turn everything around for them, given that one tied the game. But no,
No.
they just went back to how it has been. I like that they focused on different looks on the power play though. It
Yeah.
it was a different strategy, and something we covered the Kraken a lot this season, where you'd like to see okay they switched things up, they had success there, and just making teams defend different looks. So good on the Panthers for doing that, but it ultimately wasn't enough.
No, Tampa's just a juggernaut. Um, and then there was the second game, Rangers finally getting one against Carolina to keep that series, from being too ridiculous.
Yep, exactly. But hey, I mean, the Rangers I thought were the better team in Game One. I think Antti Ranta stole that game, um, and it was a pretty even in Game Two. I think the Rangers have actually overall performed better than I thought they would. They've just kind of been on the wrong end of some of that luck in this series so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah, and that's the way it goes sometimes, and it's always unfortunate. Right now, both goaltenders are playing out of their minds, and that's been fun. And
Yep.
normally, one of them will be doing that. And you can kind of point and say, okay, that's kind of my pick for the series. When it's both of them like this, it really just comes down to who gets the good bounce or not. And
Exactly. It feels like it's been a coin flip in that way. Neither team can really pull away when both
mhm.
goalies are playing this well.
Yeah. Now, do you like series like that, or would you prefer something like this Battle of Alberta series, where it's just all bets are off constantly at any given time, something's going to happen, versus just all right, both teams are playing shutdown, these goaltenders are lights out, and whoever kind of gets lucky is just going to take it.
I think I do prefer a series like this Battle of Alberta. I mean, well, how can you say no to
I
this through
know, I
two
know.
games with all the goals? I think most series will lie somewhere in between. But series where I guess maybe it's you feel like the goals are a little bit more deserving. It's not these weird
Mm-hmm.
bounces. I do like those a little bit more. Although, like as a neutral, watching those, those series that even though they're low scoring, I think they are underrated because there's a lot more action usually, even in these 1-0, 2-1 games than the score line would give it credit for.
Mm-hmm.
But as like if I'm a fan of one of those two teams, I hate it. I hate it so much.
Oh yeah,
It's so stressful and terrible for full 60 minutes. Just awful.
they're the ones that age you. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Um, all right, Ty, bringing up the other news of the day. Mark Giordano staying in Toronto, 800,000 a year over 2 years. You got thoughts? I mean, other than that's a steal of a contract.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, that might be one of the most below market value contracts that we've seen in a long time. Obviously, Gio worth a lot more than that, but Toronto is clearly where he wanted to be. We kind of got an inkling of this at the trade deadline
Mhm.
with Ron Francis sending him there. Yeah, Gio clearly happy there, clearly enjoyed his time, and clearly thinks that the Leafs still have a shot at a cup because that is something that's very important to him. And we did talk about how this Leafs team felt different despite the same result. But he wanted to stay, wanted to be part of the solution, and you can't beat that contract. I mean, it's
No.
just there's no other way to look at it. It's a great deal.
Yeah, it really is, and I think he's going to provide a nice steady, second pairing presence for them. And I thought he played pretty well in their playoff series against Tampa. So I can see them
Yep.
wanting to bring that back, especially if you can get that number. I mean, that's basically league minimum.
It is. It's basically league minimum. I mean, heck, if you want to put him on the third pairing, where I think it's a
Yeah,
good mismatch in your favor, you're paying him accordingly.
yeah.
There's really no downside.
No, there really isn't. Striatic. All right, folks, time to find out if your old pal Striatic will be listening to celebratory Edmonton post-game radio until midnight or grumbling himself to sleep at 10 p.m. We will indeed find out, Striatic. I'm sure this series has been quite fun to watch with you. I'm
Oh yeah.
sure
Oh, I'm
anybody who
sure.
happens to be in the room with you during these games is just thrilled to be there. As we were talking about, some of these series earlier and watching them when you're a fan.
Yeah.
Kitty B Kraken wanting to know over under. Uh, I think this one's gonna be a little lower scoring than what we've been used to seeing. I might
All
put
right,
it at.
Dylan. So like over under, let's go 7 or 6, 7. Yeah,
I was gonna say personally,
seven.
I'd put it at 4.5. I think it's gonna be really low scoring.
You think really low scoring?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Dylan feeling pessimistic about our exciting stream here for Game 3. You really think we're gonna
Uh,
impact this one, huh?
yeah. I guess everybody's been pulling their goalie when down two though, so multiple empty netters can drive that up. So yeah, okay, and that's
Yep.
at 6.5 is probably not bad. But I would take the under if it's at 6.5. Like I don't know where it's actually set right now.
Yeah, I don't know where it is set. Um, let's see.
There we go. Coaches,
Yeah,
the
I
hand
like I like having an
sanitizer.
anthem there in the crowd, like the crowd
hmm
singing "O Canada." That was cool.
Yeah, they've been doing that. They did that during the Kings series too. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Okay. Stratic saying it froze, but it looks fine on my end. Um. Let's see. Ty, I'm loving this early mid '90s hockey. The series has been so fun. Imagine being there. You would feel it for days. You would. like,
Hmm.
um, For sure. I can't even imagine being in a build. Well, actually, you know what? I can, because I was at Climate Pledge Arena when they won 3 games in a row and Matty Beniers scored his first goal. I got to think it's like that, only like that throughout the entire game. And yeah, I don't know. I'm too old for that stuff, RJ.
Yeah, no, clearly, and about to get older, huh?
Yes, I know. No, I know. I'm like, what, 2 days removed from my sister's graduation, and I'm feeling that. And that was just sitting around hearing names called for 2.5 hours.
I mean, that's well, in what kind of heat too? I hear it's pretty hot down there.
No, it was fine. It was the one overcast day. It was very pleasant. It's just, I just can't. I'm just not built to sit in the bleachers for that long anymore.
Fair
I need
enough.
lumbar support. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
I'm an old man.
Mess up your back.
Um, let's see. Goal within 5 minutes or longer. That is really the like kind of over under question you need to be asking yourself with this series. Is what kind of lead does Calgary give themselves before Edmonton scores their first one?
Yeah, no, this is one where I will actually side with you, and I think that the Oilers actually will show up to play at the start of this game, and
Yeah.
they won't spot Calgary at like a 1 or 2 goal lead in the first 5 minutes. I actually don't think we'll see a goal in the first 5.
Yeah, I would be surprised. I got to think both teams got to be playing a little conservative to start, just because of that. Like they don't want to give the other team
They
anything.
must have been getting an earful from their coaches, right? Both teams.
Absolutely.
About the defensive play.
It's amazing Daryl Sutter hasn't had a heart attack during some of these games. Let's be brief.
Can you imagine Daryl Sutter coaching in a series that's this high scoring?
No, it's absolutely wild and incredible. Is this though the year that we can officially say McDavid has like kind of turned that corner as we just kind of watch him go around again here, just making things happen? Because
I think this is the year that he's finally doing it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it was tough because for a while, he wasn't making the playoffs, so he didn't have the opportunity to do it. But I think he's reached this other gear that he, maybe had before, maybe didn't have before, but now he's finally getting a chance to show it. And this is kind of how he's been in the regular season, but it's a different game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he's showing it now.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with Stratic here. McDavid is a power forward now. That's how he's been playing. We saw it, early to start this game. We're seeing it in this kind of highlight package they're showing now. He's shoving guys off of him. He's not afraid to, I wouldn't say initiate contact, but certainly just work through it. No problem. Right. He's certainly not trying to avoid it. Stratic pointing out leading the Oilers in hits too. Yeah, no, he's playing the way he thinks he needs to play to help his team win, and sure enough, that's what he's been doing.
Yeah, incredible. And I mean, I looked up, this was during last game, but like most, and even just the points too. It's historic stuff. Like in the salary cap era, most points through 2 rounds, I believe, is 21. Nathan McKinnon a couple years ago, and McDavid's at 20 already, and they've got however many games left in this series.
Yeah, well, there was that thing of most points through the first 8 games of a playoff or whatever, and he was 1 point behind Lemieux for the record.
Insane.
Yeah, no, he's been playing fantastic and out of his mind, and they've needed him to, which again is doesn't speak great of the rest of the roster.
No,
but they're barely winning all this stuff. I mean,
yeah, one guy I will give a pass is Leon Draisaitl. He is clearly playing very hurt.
Yeah,
but I mean, also just the way this team is built, they don't have depth. They have slightly more than they have in the past, and it's actually getting them kind of far.
What are you talking about, RJ? Zach Hyman's been fantastic this series. He's scoring so many of the goals.
Yes, Zach Hyman making that contract worthwhile. I look at this team and I'm like, where would they be if they actually had a goalie?
Yeah, I mean, they'd probably be winning the series 2-0 for one.
But like these are the big moments this year. It feels like the West, or at least like this Pacific bracket, is more wide open than it's been in years past. This is your opportunity, and you're going into this with this goaltending plan.
Yeah, the fact that they keep having to go back to Mike Smith game after game after game.
Yep, and it is the better option.
I will
give them that. Like Mikko Koskinen will be worse.
Yeah, no, there's a
And
reason.
he's also already agreed to sign with another team for next season. I like that.
Yeah,
Did
you
you see
always,
that?
yes, gotta love it. That's what you want. Those are the stories you want to come out during the playoffs for sure, while
One
you're
of your
still in
goalies
them.
has agreed to sign with a different team.
Yeah. Here goes again though, McDavid. Gosh, so good.
Yep, every single shift. I just.
Yeah.
So what have you thought of Johnny Gaudreau in this series?
Well, the one game I saw him play, it more of what I was seeing the second half of that Dallas series. He's trying to make offense go, and he does. Like, he generates chances for his line when he's out there.
Yeah, he has looked better to me in the one game that I saw this series than the few that I saw last. Um, which is reassuring, I think.
Like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't put up the numbers he puts up if you're not doing
Right.
something.
If you're not,
Like,
yeah, no one accidentally gets to 115 points in the NHL
hmm
unless it's the mid 80s.
yes. Then you do it just like hanging out. Um, but yeah, and you know, Alex pointing out in chat, Kachuk, he's really stepped it up in this series. Um, I just think they needed that first series, Calgary, to just get it through their minds of like how they need to play in the postseason, which isn't necessarily traditional Daryl Sutter hockey. Like I was saying, they got to open it up. They're a skilled, talented team. They can score goals. Just do that. That's the object of the game. Don't box your talented guys in. Don't box Gaudreau in. Don't box Kachuk
Hmm.
in. Let Lucic go out there and do that. That's his job, and he loves it. But you don't need to do that with everybody.
Right. Oh, tip in front. That was dangerous. Um, so about the line matchups, I think we just got Woodcroft putting the McDavid line out against the Flames' big line of
Mm-hmm.
Kachuk, Gaudreau, and Lindholm. Do you think that's a smart move? It actually worked out pretty well because then you've got to contend with McDavid, and it basically takes your top
Yes.
line out of the game.
Yes, I love that. If I'm Woodcroft, I'm doing that the entire game
Yep.
because it you just have to. Because you have to assume right now the way McDavid's playing, and really at any time you have to assume this, that he's going to be the best player out there, regardless of who he's playing against. And he's going to elevate the guys around him to be that way too, if he even needs them. I mean, we saw him just take it in all on his own, get past and around guys, like, because he's that good. So yeah, if that's what it takes to keep the puck away from the other team's dangerous players, is just to have your best player out there hogging it up, then that's what you do. It's defense via offense.
Yep. Let's see. And then we've got, is that RNH? Yeah, Nugent Hopkins. Uh, that line against Mangiapane, Backlund, and
Backlund.
Coleman. See, you're
Yeah.
not letting the shut there. That's the flame shutdown line. You're
Yeah.
not letting them go against McDavid or Draisaitl, keeping them occupied with the Nugent Hopkins line.
Yeah.
Matchups are important.
Yeah. I mean, there's reasons we've been seeing home teams winning a lot this postseason.
Yep, and not just because the Hurricanes are still involved.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say something about that game earlier, but yeah.
Are we getting Canes in 7 again, the predictable way?
I still think they're better and they're gonna get it done sooner than that.
Yeah, I do think a team will win a road game in that series, but I think it'll be the Rangers.
All right, we'll find out. I mean, Shesterkin's waking up, which is certainly a problem for the Hurricanes.
Yes. All right, KDB Kraken asking what the game
Yeah,
clock is for us now. I'm at 13:36.
13:39. So you're a little bit ahead of me.
All right, for once.
I know, for a change.
Mike Smith having fun with it behind the net there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Hey, how's it going, Alex? I know I've already read some of your stuff, but just going back up and looking at some of the stuff I had passed. Um, yes, tie there for those Kraken games too. Those were awesome. Lots of Flames fans in the building, pointed out by Striatic. It's hard to tell with all the orange Oilers
Right, the
jerseys.
orange and the red.
Yeah. Once again, the Edmonton fans showing the team what colors they actually want the team to use.
Yep. I know these jerseys, man.
Stratic, the one guy who needs to step it up in round two is Kane for the Oilers. Yeah, it'd been pretty quiet compared to round one. I will say that. Um,
Yep, he has been. I think just his style of like it's a lot easier to outmuscle, the Kings
mhm.
shell of a defense group. It was very easy to get through to the net. The Flames are going to make it tougher for you. Versus the speed and skill guys, I think they struggle with more because they're built to play that rough and tumble game.
Yeah. Let's see. Alex, I don't blame Miko for dipping. He was dragged in the media by that team. For sure.
Yeah, totally. You certainly do not want to stay in Edmonton. And I don't know, this whole NHL thing probably doesn't seem too fun after the time that he's had there.
Yeah. Stratic saying the fans were actually asked by the team to wear orange and not the dark blue. Why? I mean, to hide any Calgary fans that are there? Not make it super obvious? Because
Yeah,
it's been
maybe.
that way through the whole playoffs. So if that's been the like thing through the whole playoffs, if you're trying to do orange outs or something, like I don't know, it just seems odd that you'd have your entire crowd in one jersey while you're then wearing a different one.
Right, and I think the orange out thing looks really cool. It's a good
Yeah,
effect, for the fans. But yeah, then why not wear the orange jerseys,
too.
as the team? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the ones that they're wearing now.
yeah. Um, let's see. Michael Hockey hasn't seen a player like McDavid since Mario and Gretz. Yeah, I mean Sid. It's hard. They as Stratic points out down here, they all play different, and that is true.
Yep, yep, agreed.
Because back in the day, I mean Crosby was putting up insane point totals too back when he was young,
Yeah,
like those guys
it's
were at
true.
the times. As it was, I mean he was still putting up pretty crazy point totals for a 34-year-old this year in the playoffs. Let's see, but yeah, they all play completely different, and that is super fun, Stratic.
Yeah, no, that's what it's all about. The excitement of the league. There's always someone coming in playing a different way.
Yeah. Ty, absolutely. You could add Ovi in there too, even though he doesn't skate anymore. That
Doesn't
is
need
true.
to.
That's how he gets those 2.5 minute shifts. He's just
Mm-hmm.
parked in the offensive zone. I was about to add an Ovi, but also cements the idea he plays totally different. Agreed. Medeiros, how's it going? First game of watch since my stars went out. Oof.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a rough one.
it was. Otter did everything he could.
Yeah,
Just
sure did. What a performance. I've seen a few tweets on Twitter just like, can you imagine the Oilers with Ottinger? You couldn't
yeah.
stop him.
No, you couldn't. Just about any team left in the playoffs, give him Ottinger. Like,
Yeah. No, that kind of goaltending performance, so important.
watching the drive to the net there by. I just can't remember anybody's names on this
Is that
Oilers
Fogle?
team. Yeah. Let's
I
see.
actually I messed up on a tweet earlier this season when the Oilers were playing the Kraken. I think Fogle scored and I just assumed it was McDavid because I saw the 37-97 and
Yeah.
yeah, he got me. It still happens.
Let's see. Yeah,
Oh,
it's an orange out thing.
trickled through Markstrom, hung out
Yep.
on the line.
Got bailed out.
He still looks shaky.
Yeah, no, he's clearly not right, and I don't exactly understand why. Like,
No, there shouldn't be any reason to. I don't know. I mean, always at the playoffs, you're like, well, maybe it's an injury, and maybe it is, but I don't know.
but whatever it was happened in the second round. Like that's the thing. Like, because if he was shaking
In
like
between the
this,
first and second.
mhm. Well, it just happened in the second period of the first game of this series.
Yeah, I don't know, but he's off.
Mm-hmm. It's that guy
And
yelling at
Sutter,
him
I
behind
think
the play.
Daryl Sutter has had he has a reputation for kind of having a short leash with his goalies.
Yeah,
I'm surprised we haven't seen Vladar at some. Well, I guess through game one, you're never trailing, so you don't want to change up the goalies
right.
there. But I don't know. It's you got to think he's on a shorter leash now, especially with Sutter as the coach.
Yeah, Ty saying gloves gone on him. Alex, he's a big boy. Could be fatigue.
Yeah,
I
how many
mean,
games did he play this season?
fatigue can always come into it for anybody this time of year. But yeah, that's a good point because I don't remember seeing Vladar like around much in the regular season.
Right. So I mean, he didn't play very many games, Ladard, but he got a bunch of shutouts in those. Um, let's see. So yeah, Markstrom started 63 games. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a career high for him. We could be seeing the start of goalie burnout here.
Yeah, it is definitely possible.
Which I mean, as you know, where does that rank as far as goalies this
I was gonna
season?
say that's got to be more than any of the other starters left in the postseason. Shesterkin's maybe the one that might come close to that.
Right. Let's see.
Let's
Games
see.
played goalie. Okay, so Markstrom, that's fourth in the NHL, behind Saros, who played 67 and ended up getting injured, so he couldn't
Yeah,
play in the playoffs. How's that for some goalie burnout?
yeah,
Connor Hellebuck and Thatcher Demko, who
yeah.
each of them did not make the playoffs.
Right. So
Tied with Vasilevsky.
I was gonna say Vasilevsky's probably played a lot too, but Vasilevsky, just give him the Russian machine never breaks moniker, man.
Yeah, seriously, it's amazing what he can do. But yeah, we might be starting to see burnout. I wonder what Vladar could do. I don't know. I think he's been good. Certainly this season, his numbers have been good, but he's another one of those bigger goalies.
Mm-hmm.
Takes up a lot of net, and if he's just playing sound, he should be able to make the saves that he should make.
Yeah. Well, look, if Calgary loses this game, they're probably making a change.
Yeah, agreed.
And I know it's hard to say that before the game has happened and you know how that loss occurred and all that kind of stuff, but I do think that that's something that Sutter would do just to try to wake up the team and say, okay, you cannot get into a 3-1 hole against these guys.
Right.
And if this is what it takes, that's what it takes. But we'll see. Stratic confirming it is an orange out thing. Kitty B Kraken trying to spot Kraken fans in the crowd.
Yeah, let us know if you see any. That'd be cool.
Alex hoping for some nice long series with the exception of one. Give you one guess as to which one that one is.
We can figure that one out.
Glad to see Vassy back to being Vassy. Yep. Stratic. Matthews is a bit more similar to McDavid than those other players are to each other. That's interesting because I don't know that I would say that.
Right. I mean, Matthews, he uses his release differently. That's the biggest weapon with his shot that McDavid doesn't quite shoot like that. And then also using his size and bodying people out. I think McDavid is certainly in this playoffs, as he's getting into more power forward mode, is starting to unlock some of those things that Matthews has consistently been able to do. But the shot is the big differentiator for me.
Yeah, I was gonna compare Matthews more to Crosby, Lemieux because of the size thing. And I know Crosby doesn't necessarily have the size, but he's always played like it because his lower body is just so strong. He can. Those cartoon thighs. Let's see. Stratic asking Madero's favorite Oiler and Flame. The answer is Puljujarvi and Kachuk. It's a good answer.
All right. And so, like Kachuk, no problems with the guy who stirs the pot there.
No, I mean that's what it's about. It's one of the fun things about hockey is guys like that who can back it up by scoring. So you can't be totally mad at them. Like that's part of the fun of Marchand, right? Like over a Lucic, right? Like that's the real difference.
Yes. No,
exactly. The guys Lucic who can back it up.
One thing, yeah.
Yeah, Michael. If the Oilers had a decent goalie, they'd be Cup favorites for sure. Absolutely for sure.
Time to look at Markstrom's playoff stats.
I was gonna say I don't think Markstrom's ever had a playoff run before either. Is that true? Has he always been like a bounced in the first round kind of guy?
Yeah. Okay. So playoff history. He started 14 games for Vancouver in 2019-20. How'd they do on that one? Trying to remember that. Was that the bubble year? No, that was the bubble.
Yeah, that was bubble.
Okay, and then he ended up getting in that Vegas series, getting pulled in favor of Demko, and then Demko just had one of the like an Ottinger-like performance.
Stole the job for sure.
Yeah, and then this is the second one. So yeah, he never really had a full playoff run, at least not one that he finished. So, yeah, that's true. Not a
All
lot
right,
of playoff experience.
real quick, just because they just had the graphic on screen. Oilers 1 for 10 on the power play in this series. They were 7 of 19 on the last one. To me, that's just the difference in Draisaitl being healthy versus being hurt.
No, yeah, I agree. That's a great point. He adds this other dimension to the power play where you need to respect him on that right side, and it opens up things for other people. And I just think the Flames haven't really needed to respect him as much because of that
Mm-mm.
injury.
Yeah.
No,
Uh,
good observation there.
yeah. Some talk of Shesterkin having issues, being hurt. Let's see. Least favorites from Madero's now. Certainly McDavid and Kane there.
Yep.
Doesn't have one for the Flames. You got a
Hmm.
suggestion for the Flames?
Oh, least favorite Flame? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, obviously Milan Lucic.
Yeah. Duh.
Yep. I mean, I won't make the case yet again, but all he's good for is sucker punching opponents.
I mean, he's good at getting under guys' skin and banging defensive bodies around. Like, just I've never seen somebody look so heavy coming in on a forecheck. You know what I mean? Like,
No, absolutely, and he can do that. He's still going to be a liability for you on the ice over any kind of extended minutes. The one thing I will give him that I think he did well in this series was that one hit on McDavid.
mm-hmm.
There was a clean hit, but everyone
Yeah.
came in and retaliated. I think the penalties ended up evening out
Mm-hmm.
on that one, even though they shouldn't have. It should have been just one against the Oilers.
Oilers.
The
Yeah.
Flames should have had a power play. But that was actually a good, useful play from him. But those are few and far between, and I just don't like the unsuspecting headshots on guys.
Yeah. No, obviously, like there's plenty not to like there. Um, that contract also being one of those
Yeah.
things. Archibald out there trying to earn more ice time than his 4 minutes in game two. Was he really limited to only 4 minutes in game two?
It would surprise me, but yeah, that's 4 minutes.
That's,
This is what happens. You get in the playoffs and you'll see ice time stuff like this.
yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I get it, but also like I didn't think he was that bad of a player.
no, I didn't think so either. It's just, but you can tell who the coach doesn't. Ooh, Johnny
Okay,
Gaudreau gets cross-checked into his teammate there.
yeah, after completely being like
Yeah, harassed. I think they probably
hooked
just called the hooker the hold originally.
Draisaitl.
They figure they're not going to call another one. What's
Draisaitl with the.
Draisaitl complaining about?
I have no idea because it's obvious, super obvious.
Yeah.
And let's be real, that was all just because Draisaitl couldn't keep up with him.
Right, exactly. You got beat there, and you're not in a position. What is he saying that Gaudreau held his stick?
Yeah, I think he's trying to say he held his stick. I don't think he held his stick at all watching the replay.
It didn't look like
And
it.
also, the first move was so violent, it doesn't matter. That's the penalty. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, and in that spot on the ice too, you don't have any cover there. It's
no, you come up under a
you don't
guy's
really
arm
need
like
to take
that.
it all. Yeah. Yeah. Michael Atai. Yeah, bad penalty. Agreed.
Yeah. No goals on that last power play, but McDavid was electric from Striatic for sure. I mean, he was making everything happen. And that's what I want to see Beniers do for the Kraken next year, is kind of be this guy who takes the puck, roams around, gets defenses to converge on him, and then open guys up and make the play to them.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, that's how all power plays should work. I think the ones that are really stagnant in the 1-3-1 are the ones that are bad. And I would
Yeah.
point to
No,
Seattle
exactly.
as,
The movement to draw defenders in.
yeah.
And then we got a 2-on-2 the other way. That's not too dangerous. But let's see. Flames onto the second power play unit now.
Ty, I saw a fan throwing 20s over the glass to Kane. Too funny. Trainer pocketed them and was thankful.
Oh my god.
That was pretty funny.
It must be 20
That's
Canadian.
adorable. Yes. Yes.
I don't know what color those are. I'm trying to think of my Canadian money. It's all the different colors.
Zadorov. Release favorite flame. Seeing that. Alex, I don't know how Calgary is making this work on D. Storov, Goodbranson, Stone, all not exactly elite. No, I wouldn't describe them that way. It's for
Yeah,
sure.
well, that's the thing. That's the idea with the Daryl Sutter D too. Is you don't have to necessarily be elite. You've just
Right.
got to be a big body who can be positioned well and make sure you don't give up anything defensively.
Yeah.
Um, and Stone, I found it interesting because he's a bigger guy too, and so he can play that way defensively. But he's also this kind of offensive
He
specialist
is.
in areas like with his shot. And I
Hmm.
kind of like his general skill set, what he brings to the table. He's a fun kind of gadget player to have.
Yeah. I was gonna say no. That's a product of coaching, and
Yep.
those are the differences that coaching staff can make. Not just the head coach, but everybody all the way down. And so that's the stuff that want to see improvement on year two with the Kraken. Tanev and Shellington both good for sure. Anderson and Hannafin are both great. I've always been underwhelmed by Hannafin since he's made it to the NHL.
You've always what?
Been
Sorry.
underwhelmed with Noah Hannafin.
Agreed. Although, I mean, he's one of those guys that's kind of made you pay whenever he's played the Kraken. He's a
Well,
noted
yes.
Kraken killer. I think like top 3 in points against the Kraken of anyone all time. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just it just feels like he was top 5 pick in an extremely deep draft class, and he's one of those guys where he's rock solid all the way around, but you're just lacking that special something other than when he's playing the Kraken, I guess.
The Lawson Krause of the blue line.
Well, he's better than Lawson Krause.
Yeah, he is better than Lawson Krause. It's not the perfect comp, but
I'm trying to think. Let's see. I mean, Dylan Strome.
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, the
It's
Dylan
kind of like
Strome
a
is a little
solid
bit better.
middle six center. It's not bad, but at the same time, you'd want more, considering who you picked around him. Everybody talk about the bad penalty. Stratic pointing out a great clear from Duncan Keith. Did you see that chart that I think it was Jay Fresh put out about the zone entries against defensemen?
No, I didn't.
It was basically like the easiest defenseman to enter the zone against.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, highest possession entry against rate for last year, and number one was Duncan Keith, 79%. So
Oh,
79% of the time, if you're entering the zone up against Duncan Keith, you're retaining possession of the puck. That's in today's NHL. That's crazy.
that is so bad.
Now, surprisingly, Morgan Riley at number 2 at 78%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
I got to go look at this chart. I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of interesting.
I was gonna
Stuff
say I could send it to you. Your boy Justin Braun on there at 8th.
Yes.
So just throw
I
that out
never
there.
said he was still good.
Yeah, but he was
Well,
your
at least
favorite.
not since 2018 or so.
The other big name that I'll mention here, besides Jacob Middleton, also being in this list, but I'll just name all the guys you think are great.
Yeah, there we go.
John Klingberg at 11. So again,
Ooh,
maybe reasons to stay away from him if you're the
as if we
Kraken.
needed any more.
Yeah. So just send that out there. But yeah, I'll also do that list later. All right, so I know Medeiros in here somewhere talking about Puljujarvi. Where was it?
Yeah, where is that?
Hoping the Oilers let go of Puljujarvi and the Kraken pick him up so I can hate the Oilers with no guilt. Yeah, I think you're gonna be happy with this next scouting report, Medeiros.
Oh yes.
This Slavkovsky one. That might I guess give away a little bit of what I'm doing player comp wise with him, but
Yeah.
it's been fun to go back and watch the draft tape from Puljujarvi because like what happened? How did the Oilers break that? It was so solid.
I know it was just dominant stuff. I remember watching that draft tape. Wow, back and forth hockey now.
Yeah,
Some good chances.
325.
Oh, what a
for
pass
me.
from Kachuk. How did Gaudreau miss that?
I know. It looked like maybe the defenseman was that Nurse
Got a piece of it.
got the stick in there, just to
Mhm.
ramp it up.
Right. Kind of like McDonough did earlier today.
Yeah.
I'm looking at how many more years of team control does Puljujarvi have? Like 3. Okay.
Yeah, and the thing that made him great was like it wasn't really the scoring. Like I understand why the scoring never translated to the NHL, but
Mm-hmm.
how the Oilers somehow ruined this guy who was just unbelievable along the boards and on the forecheck and in the cycle game and defensively like he could have been one of the all-time great defensive wingers. He was up until he basically came over here. So, um that's the stuff that I'm surprised didn't translate to the NHL, and he was never quite able to figure out. But I'm sure he could if he maybe with a change of scenery.
Right. I think in a different place, you could have seen like a Nichushkin with maybe even a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more. Well, he's kind of unlocked that scoring upside now, but
Yeah,
like what Nichushkin is now.
yeah, but like a more surefire 20 goal scorer.
Yep. No, it would have been great.
But I loved like it was him, Sebastian Aho, and Patrick Laine on the line for the Finns for a lot of those tournaments, and just watching the tape of the three of them working together is just awesome.
Yep.
And what's crazy is Puljujarvi's at in the center spot. He's going right down the middle of the ice.
Oh, all the possibilities that he had.
Mm-hmm. Like Aho was the center for the faceoffs, but the moment that was over, it was Puljujarvi.
Yeah. I mean, it shows just like the diametrically opposed kind of coaching impacts that you can have.
Yeah.
Puljujarvi down and then Aho up, and becoming a center
Mm-hmm.
makes a big difference.
Yeah, Kachuk just not able to get anything on that shot. No lift. All right, what are your thoughts on Woodcroft, RJ? As Ty's explaining why he doesn't like him.
Woodcroft, Van Nor, Kane, let's see. Just always whining over there. It just rubs me wrong. I mean, in Woodcroft's defense, it works. Whining absolutely works. As the Oilers are about to go on the power play,
Yeah.
it works in the playoffs. And as much as I don't like it, you can't win a Stanley Cup unless you whine a ton on the bench. That's just what you have to do. Because if you do it right, it works really well. And so that's kind of why he's doing it. I don't have anything against him. I know he's been associated with the Todd McClellan coaching staffs, but he was in a different role. He was a video coach. Those guys don't, deal with the motivation side of things, that the head coach usually deals with. But interesting though, he is the first former video coach to be head coach in the playoffs
Mm-hmm.
in the NHL. So
Yeah,
that's a cool kind of milestone in the game.
for sure. Yeah, we've talked about the whining in the playoffs and
Yeah,
stuff.
Ty saying he may have been just trying to rile me a bit.
Yeah. Um, if you ain't whining, you ain't winning. I don't know. Do you think like Mike Sullivan and John Cooper whine? They certainly argue at
Uh,
times.
yeah, I mean Cooper certainly. Well, okay, you either whine, but you can also argue, and this is where like Cooper and DeBoer, like having been attorneys, like they know how to argue, but they certainly do plenty of that. They don't stay quiet and just let that
Right.
Um,
And
so I think it's based on your style, but you have to complain in the
yeah,
way that you do it.
yeah. And then there's the Sutter Barry Trotz approach, which is
Ooh, that little move for
I know,
McDavid. I
I
like that.
know.
And the Sutter Barry Trotz approach, you said?
Yeah, which is just to intimidate them pre and post game,
Mm-hmm.
where no one can see it, but you know that that's what's happening.
Yep.
Both coaches should be whining. The officiating has been unbiased, but also kind of bad against both teams. It hasn't been great, really, throughout this postseason.
Yeah.
Been very few
How about
games I've
the
walked away feeling good about it.
huh? Sorry.
There's been very few games this year where I've walked away feeling good about it.
Yeah, no, it's true. There's always like one or two things that they kind of keep getting talked about afterward.
All
Oh,
right.
okay. I checked the clock. I'm like, why is he winding up for a slap shot from there
I
on the
know.
power play? That explains it.
Yeah. All right. Oilers starting period 2 though with a power play. That's going to be good for them. Keep the momentum. I felt like, I don't know, just because of McDavid, Oilers took that period for me.
Yeah, agreed. I think you look at the more dangerous chances. I mean, he was in the middle of like all of them, but you total things up, and I think the Oilers did play the better period. You could argue that Calgary just getting out of it, kind of playing a good road period without any goals, but um, yeah, I think the Oilers just still look more in control. It's a
They did.
more open game than the score would indicate, and then I think more than Calgary would like.
Yes, I agree with that for sure. Ty pointing out we should be at 6 goals by now. What's going on? I told you.
Exactly what you predicted,
I
Dylan.
told you. I do not like how right I've been through most of this postseason about things, RJ. It's very uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
I like to just
And
make my
you've been really
absurd
spot on with
predictions.
some of these predictions.
I know. I like to just make my flippant, absurd prediction in the heat of the moment and then just, let people tell me how wrong I am. That's what I'm comfortable with. That's,
I know this is an unwelcome change of pace for you.
yeah, starting all these Red Glare podcasts off with, okay, Dylan, you were right about, and it's just like, no.
Oh, come on. If I'm saying it, you must enjoy that.
Yes, I do enjoy that, and that's like the new notification sound on my phone whenever you text me and all that kind of stuff. But still, it's it's still an uncomfortable, unnatural feel. Um, all right. If you're Sutter, do you adjust anything? What do you do for the second period?
I'd still try and get the D to tighten up a little bit, get the forwards back checking more.
Yeah.
Just those little things that commitment to defensive hockey that we saw so well even just earlier today from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like all those little
Hmm.
habits, just to be completely committed to preventing goals against. And I just don't think the Flames are focused in that way, and they haven't been all series, and even a lot of the time last series they weren't.
Right.
And you see the difference when you look at a team like Tampa, who has completely bought into that. But you look at Sutter's Kings teams during their heyday; they were completely
They
bought into
were.
that. This Flames team has not bought in yet.
No. And I was gonna say, and at this point, I don't know that they ever will. I think I don't think Daryl Sutter's really gonna be able to be around much longer with this Calgary group. If they want this to be the core of the team moving forward, I just don't see it working with him. Obviously, it hasn't been a disaster, and there's not like an open, mutiny or anything against him. But it's clear that throughout the end of the regular season, as he's doing those press conferences we talked numerous times about, as we've seen through this playoff series so far, that buy-in, like you said, is not there. And
Mm-hmm.
this system and having a coach like him is not going to work if that buy-in's not going to be there.
Nope.
Um,
Yeah, it's interesting because they shuffled around the personnel last offseason. You bring in
yes.
guys like Sidorov, Goodbranson,
Hmm.
guys that more fit that system, but they still got a ways to go. We talked about how much of a mismatch it was before those moves last
Yeah.
offseason with this roster, and there's definitely still some pieces there.
Yeah. And the big one's going to be Kachuk. Like if that's not going to work, then at some point you're going to need a different coach.
Yep.
Um, I was gonna say, to their credits, they haven't done anything. You haven't seen Lucic go out there against McDavid. You haven't seen them really do anything to McDavid. Not that they could catch him, but I will say that that is refreshing because there's been plenty of times in the past where we've seen from teams of Daryl Sutters or teams with some of the players that are on this Flames team go after guys when it's so clearly one guy driving everything for the other team that guy
Yep.
would be dealing with a little bit more than what McDavid's having to deal with right now. And so it's refreshing, and I hope that that's something that the NHL has just kind of made a turn on, and we're not going to have to deal with that nonsense anymore.
Hopefully, I'm not holding my breath, but hopefully.
I know. But it's, McDavid made it through a 7-game series against the Kings. So far, a little over 2 games in this one. That's better than some guys back in the day. Um, Hey, how's it going, Hunter? Ty, I told Dylan Avs in 5 for my bold prediction. Lol, game 2. I'm like, I know that was more what I was expecting. I know it was more what you were expecting too.
Yep. Although now I think I probably would pick the Avs to win this series only because with Binnington being out,
Yeah.
I still think the Blues have a good shot, but
Hmm.
man, if Husso's going to be as bad as he was in Game 3, there's no they can't overcome it.
No, they can't. He was so bad, just based
Now, if
on
something were to
what I
happen to
watched.
Kemper, then it's a whole other ball game. But
Yeah.
again,
Yeah. Ruby team, you never know.
yeah, he's well. I was gonna say he's still aggrieved about it. With his comments toward Kadri. I
Yep.
mean, the Blues are aggrieved about everything since 2019. They've been in a perpetual state of
Yes.
grievance, and it's
Yes.
gotten them far.
It
But
has.
we'll see how far it could take them this year.
Yeah. Let's see. You need to hit McDavid and company. That's from Ty. So far, playing their sticks well, but you need to hit them. Stratic pointing out problem with hitting McDavid right now is that if you miss, it's the back of your net. That is the problem. You can't really play him physical because he'll just go around you. That's the bottom
Yep.
line. Like, you can't step up into him like you would if you're anybody else as a defenseman, because he will just go around you. So you just have to kind of backtrack with him, and it puts your goalie in a bad spot because you're just at some point you just become a body in the way of being able to
Right.
see that release whenever it comes.
Yeah. It's so limited what you can do, and you can't hit what you can't catch.
Mm-hmm. So Kitty B Kraken, with all the huge scoring in the series, are we now going to go 0-0 in regulation? There's 2 periods left. I think something
If
will
you
happen.
have your way, we will.
I know. I was just saying there's going to be less than 5 goals this game.
With these two
think that's
goalies
okay.
in net, no, I don't think so.
Hey, blind squirrel, man.
Yeah, I guess.
And every so often, 2 blind squirrels find nuts on the same day. It happens.
Okay, I got to tell this story now. So, I was in the locker room after one of my hockey games last week, and someone mentioned that I think one of our guys got a goal, doesn't usually score, and he was saying about his strategy. Oh, it works. Blind squirrel gets a nut every now and again, and then someone in the other side of the locker room shouted, "Blind squirrel dies." Like, what do you think is gonna happen to a blind squirrel? Come on, that's ridiculous. And we all just started laughing. Like, it was just perfectly timed.
Yeah, I mean, they do. That would not give them the life expectancy. But before they die, they could find a nut. And that's all that matters. And apparently, if you're the squirrels at my grandma's house, you can survive getting, shot
Yeah,
with
I saw that.
massive,
That was...
lawn darts. I don't know. That thing's huge.
Ugh.
Right through the neck. It's totally fine, though. I don't get it. Let's see. Just for reference, everybody, my grandmother feeds peanuts to the squirrels in her backyard, and one of them
she did.
just showed up one day with this massive flag, lawn flag thing, just straight through its neck shoulder area, and it's been like that now for 4 or 5 months, and it just runs around with this thing. But there's a good 2 inches of spikes sticking through the front end, and then obviously the flag on the back. It's gnarly looking. But he's doing fine, so all right. Yeah, but the bottom line is, don't think they're going 0-0 in regulation. We'll get a goal before then. A goal, singular.
Yep.
No behind the play broken ribs this year. Good start. It's from Alex. Then again, Scott Mayfield missed the playoffs.
Yeah. Hey, we're not at the conference finals yet. That's where that stuff happens.
Yeah. Ty, I forgot they made a cup run recently. It's easy to forget. I don't know why, but I've fallen in that same category. Stratic, I'd call that a good road period for Calgary, but normally the proverbial good road period doesn't involve being outshot 20-7. I'm sure they'll take the result though. Yeah, and also this playoffs, I mean, I don't know. Being outshot doesn't really mean anything anymore, it seems like.
Yeah, although I mean, it doesn't feel that lopsided. We watched the whole period with the chances, but it still definitely is in Edmonton's favor, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we both said Edmonton won the period. Yeah, giving up 60 shots to Edmonton ain't the recipe. That's from Alex. It is if Markstrom's going to just be, so great like he's been.
Yeah.
With those terrible rebounds and leakiness. Hunter, how many games do you think Hackstall lasts last year? I think under 40 before he gets fired. I mean, we've been saying it for a while. I think you were the first one to say it, RJ. It all depends on what kind of start they get. If it's a bad start, he's gone quick. If, it's one of those things where they're okay, they're 500 through, the end of the year, and then things go off the rails, I don't know that they'll do a second half of the year firing.
Right, because I think, yeah, if they don't feel like things can be brought online quickly enough, um, there's not a whole lot of reason to do it. I think that for a lot of the anti-Hackstall people, I think that might be the worst case scenario,
I know.
is that they actually stay good enough through the new year and then things really go bad. But as far as, worst case scenario for him, like he could be gone within 10 games. If he loses them
Oh
all,
yeah.
I think he's gone within 10 games.
Yeah, no, if they're like 2-8 to start the season, I think he's gone.
Yeah, agreed.
Especially if they are that aggressive in the off season. If you bring in two big money free agents and stuff, and you make some other trades and whatnot, yeah, that is definitely not going to be the start that they're going to be okay with.
Yeah, the more big name guys Francis brings in, the shorter the leash is for Hackstall.
Yeah. Let's see. That was Hunter. Sergio, what do you think about potential Slovakian addition to the Kraken's team?
Yes, so I mean, first of all, I'm never against these European free agent signings. They're no risk. I mean, you're just paying what the contract is. They're just a good dart throw. But you're referring to Samuel Buček. He's a 23-year-old winger, 64 points in 50 games in the Slovak League this year. He had a good World Juniors tournament in 2018 that I kind of remember because he got this game-winning goal against Team USA that I ended up tweeting earlier today. I think he had like 7 points, led the team in that Slovakia in that tournament. He is on the older side. Chances are there's not a whole lot more development coming at that age. But the Slovak League's not a bad league. He's playing against men. We'll see what he can come over and do. Probably going to start in the AHL. But you could be a valuable scoring depth forward. I like the size too. He's listed at 6'2" or 6'3", depending on where you go. He's got good size. He's got some scoring ability. I like the dart throw.
Yeah, I think it's always worth it, like you said, and got to fill out that AHL roster. Like I'd rather it be guys like this than a 30-year-old AHLer kind of guy who's bounced around down there for however long. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Like, nothing against those guys. Like they're making a living and that's good for them. But at the same time, I'd rather have guys like this that have some potential.
Yep. And then adding if Samuel will be signed, because that's true. We got to add that caveat there. He has not signed yet. This is from an interview with, I believe, a Slovak TV station where he said that he was talking and he's like, hopefully I'll be signed by the Kraken. That's where I want to go. But nothing has happened yet. Francis hasn't confirmed anything yet. But Sergio asking if he is signed, does it mean that we'll have Nemetz as a draft pick? So he is teammates with Simon Nemetz, who is I think top 5 prospect in this year's draft.
Yeah.
Someone that a lot of mock drafts have the Kraken taking. I don't think this affects it one way or another. The Kraken are just going to pick the best player for them. Regardless, they're not going to take this into account at all. But if they do make that pick, it's kind of cool that they have one of his teammates from last year in the organization. I think those two would probably help each other out at training camp if that's the way the Kraken go.
Yeah. Ty, like the look of him. Give me that right-handed D. Sound like you are.
Dylan will have his scouting video on Nemetz at some point. I think you're doing Slavkovsky now, right?
Yeah, and that'll come out this week. Probably Wednesday, realistically.
But we'll see what Dylan ends up thinking of Nemetz. Because I watched him in a couple games because he did play at the World Championship. So I was watching Nemetz and Slavkovsky. Should we get into our thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, we can. Because he's been, as you said, mocked with him a ton. You know what I mean? Like, the Kraken have. You and I, not huge fans of his, I think is the safe way of saying it. I do like his eyes and IQ, Ty. I like that a lot. I like that defensively he makes up for his lack of size by using his stick. He's a very active stick, and if you've been listening to me through these playoffs and through most of the Kraken season, you'll know I think that's a quality that for some reason is leaving the NHL, and I don't understand why. I think it's very valuable for defensemen to have. I just don't see the special offensive ability that would make it, so that he deserves to be picked in top 5.
Right, and I think you phrased that really well. That special offensive ability that I think is missing.
Mhm.
And what strikes me so much, and what I think a lot of scouts are enamored with, is how polished he is and how mature
Yeah,
he is for a player his age. He makes a lot of really good decisions. He's good at seeing the ice. He rarely makes a step wrong. But again, there's nothing that really stands out as far as that exceptional skill that you talked about. And when you're drafting guys in the top 5, that's what you're looking for, even
right.
if it isn't the most polished player. I don't think this is a good player comp, but when you talk about like skill level and whatnot, we were talking about Hannafin as like a top 5,
Yeah.
top pick in a skilled draft. Like, is that the level of player that you want when you're picking fourth overall? And I would contend that it's not.
Right. I gave someone on Twitter the comp of Vince Dunn.
Yep,
That's what he
I could
looks
see
like
that.
to me. He looks like a borderline, maybe a second pairing guy, who's gonna be good offensively and stuff. But at the end of the day, he's not someone that you're gonna send out there and who's gonna be able to chew up 22, 23 minutes when you need him to. It's just not. I just don't see it at the NHL level from him. And I don't see the kind of offensive wizardry that I was so enamored with Brant Clark last year.
Hmm.
And it helped that Brant Clark played Slovakia during his draft year because of COVID, so it was kind of a nice comparison. You can go and look and compare and see what they were both able to do in the same league, and you'll see that Brant Clark was able to do a lot more, look a lot more dominant, drive offense for his team in a much bigger way than Nemitz. And at the end of the day, that's ultimately what I came down to. Because yeah, I was watching World Cup like you, and I was like, okay, well, there's some stuff here. Let me go check out his tape from Slovakia, and that's when I was like, okay, I've seen Brant Clark do more, arguably on a worse team too. So like I was just like, this is that's where the pause came in for me.
Yep, agreed.
It's always about trying to find that comparable tape. That's that's something I definitely try to do with Slavkovsky, uh, as everybody will find out later on this week. Let's see, just because we were talking about this. Uh, Down here, Hunter, should the Kraken reach for a forward or just take the best defenseman, i.e., Savoy or Geeky? Um, I, I've been saying it now for a little bit, and I gotta watch more of him. But I'd take Kamel. I think
Yeah,
he's
no,
probably the
and the
best
more
guy.
I've watched Kamel, I started watching him too. I'm totally on board. I'm ready to rank him ahead of Slavkovsky, honestly. Um, just given what he projects as, I think he's going to be a better fit with someone like Beniers, as you pointed out. And also, I see so much kind of like was it Nick Ehlers or someone like he's right-handed, but like the Nick Ehlers or like William Eklund, a more recent guy like
Mm-hmm.
that, is that kind of skill. Whereas a guy like Slavkovsky, yes, the upside is immense with that kind of size and speed, but you look at guys with that kind of offensive profile, they turn out great a lot less
Yeah,
than guys with Kemel's kind of profile. You see a lot more of those guys have success.
yeah. I default, and this was certainly something Portland did back in the day, and I think it was partly why they were able to dominate as long as they were during that era. Um, Hockey sense above all. Like take the smarter player over the guy that has the shot or the size or the speed, because at the end of the day that's what you know will translate to the next level, and you know you can work with him and find a good spot for him. It's a lot harder to do that with someone like a Slavkovsky who can play the cycle game in Finland, but the moment he kind of leaves that, yes, he's had success at international tournaments, but those are all in situations that are not going to be situations that are he's going to run into a lot in the NHL. And
Yep.
so you worry about what kind of system he can fit in and how well he'll translate, kind of similar to Savoy, guy who's very very skilled, but I don't know about their ability to just translate to any system at any time because I just don't trust their hockey sense. Whereas for Kamel, I think it's there, and so in that sense, I think it also helps the Kraken because yes, you're drafting a winger that I think would play very well with Beniers and help you score goals in the future. Probably not next year, but certainly the year after that.
Yeah, and when you talk about reaching for a forward too, I think in this year's draft class, I wouldn't even necessarily call it a reach.
No,
After Shane Wright, I think you've got 7 or 8 guys that all could really fit in that category. It's not like in other years.
Yeah, Stratic pointing out, I wish the Kraken would be picking just one higher. Both Cooley and Slavkovsky look so good. The other guys are either way harder to judge or have red flags, says the Oilers score. So we'll get back to that.
Yep, Oilers on the
That
board.
Zach Hyman, I'm telling you, he's the guy this round two. It was Vander Kane round one for them. It's him round two.
I guess so. So okay, is he going to be the guy that's going to justify all these like expensive mid-tier free agent signings with term this offseason?
No, that's gonna be Rust. It's gonna be
Yeah,
Brad Rust.
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not. I still don't stand by those contracts. I still think he's overpaid for what he can realistically bring. That being said, he is one of those guys. All those mid-tier guys are guys that can show up for a couple games in the playoffs and make a difference in a series.
Yep. The key is to get them before they hit that contract.
Yes.
When it's really an advantage. You know, Hyman with the Leafs can help you there, or Rust before this contract really helps you there.
Yeah. So, there we go. There's our goal.
All right. All right.
That's,
Lock it down, Edmonton.
That's that. Yeah.
Take the lead.
Wouldn't you love to see them just try, just to laugh at it?
I know, just to play this like
it would be really funny if if they tried.
Responding back to Striatic,
Yeah.
I think I'd need to see him pick two higher. For me, it's Shane Wright, then drop off, then Cooley, then drop off, then everybody else.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But at the end of the day, just the fact that you're picking in the top 7, I think you're doing okay. I think you're going to be getting a guy that does have potential, that's going to be an NHL player, and that's going to contribute within 2 years. Because I think just about everybody up in that area is pretty close to being ready. I think most prospects these days are close to being ready in every way but physically, and that's just still something just 18-year-olds not built to play in a league like the NHL. And they shouldn't be. It's probably dangerous.
Right. It's so difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the question from Alex, would you prefer Juracek over Nemitz?
I haven't watched enough of Juracek to comment, really.
Yeah, from what I've seen of Juracek, I mean, he's much more raw, much more of a developmental type prospect. The skating needs a lot of work. As is the skating, he will get just blown by at the NHL level. Mm-hmm. He's, I think, 2 or 3 years away, even potentially. He could be a very good player once he gets there, but you need to know that you can develop him well. That's going to be a good coaching prospect. I might even rather take him over Nemitz just because I think the upside is higher. I think the chances of reaching it are much lower, but the upside is higher. And if you're picking in the top 5, then that's what you're after. But I don't necessarily like either of those picks at 4.
Yeah. And then Stratic Slavkovsky reminds me of Draisaitl, though not a center. But Draisaitl doesn't always play center, and a lot of the arguments against Slavkovsky sound like the ones against Draisaitl when the Oilers picked him. So I will agree with that, Stratic, because RJ, if you remember, I wasn't a huge Draisaitl guy that draft.
Yeah, class. I do remember. I was going to say, and we did argue about this a lot at the time.
Right, and my big thing was I didn't see the stuff he was getting away with, basically. Prince Albert, I think, is where he was playing.
Yep,
junior.
It was Prince Albert.
Working at the NHL level was like, he was always just doing stuff that I was like, no NHL defenseman's going to let him get away with that. And to his credit, if you watch draft tape of Draisaitl then versus now, his game has changed a lot. But he had to work to change his game and get there. And I always felt like, look, he's a good player, but he's more of a 2C, and obviously could not have predicted the whole McDavid situation working out where he ended up kind of a 2C. Obviously he's played better than that, but that was my main argument with him, was just I don't see NHL defenders letting him play this way, and that is a lot of my argument with Slavkovsky.
Yeah. And it's tough because I think we've seen a number of different examples of players who we've had that issue with, and especially like larger guys with speed where it's hard to know how much they can kind of get away with at the NHL level. I mean, what I liked with Draisaitl more, I just saw the kind of elite puck skills that I don't necessarily like. Slavkovsky's got a really good release. He's got a good shot, but I don't see the same kind of elite like puck handling, just all around skills with the puck that I saw with Draisaitl, and I think that is something that kind of sets him apart.
Yeah, and I will
In
say
addition to how he's evolved his game over those years.
right, and I will say Draisaitl a lot more hockey sense at
Yeah.
that age too than Slavkovsky. You're not seeing just kind of passes where you're just kind of left scratching your head the way you are with Slavkovsky at
Yeah, and that
times.
was the other thing I saw when watching a lot of those Slovakia games. Like, man, there were some really bad passes in there, like, and just ill-advised passes.
Yeah,
The IQ stuff needs to improve.
yeah, because when he's playing on that national team, they're putting him in the position where he has to be the guy, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just not built that way, which is fine. Most people aren't. That's why those guys are so special. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I'd still take him in the top five.
Oh no, I
I
would
would
too.
put personally, I'd put Kamel over him because I think in the long run it's going to be a safer pick. Probably end up with similar production if they both hit. You're talking similar production. I just take the guy I know I can kind of work with. I can have a coaching change and know it's not going to disrupt anything.
Exactly.
All that
Yep.
kind of stuff. But yeah, I like that you bring up the Draisaitl thing, Striatic. Hunter, a lot of the rumors about the Kraken taking on Kerfoot's contract for a pick. Would you guys make that move? I haven't heard that. I have to
I haven't
remind
heard that
myself
at
of
all
what the.
either. That's why I'm just gonna check Twitter here.
I was gonna say, and I also have to check what the contract is exactly again too.
I
Just
believe it's
refresh my.
3.5 for I don't know how much long because we were looking at this with the expansion draft.
Yeah, it's only one
Um,
year at 3.5 though, so that's not bad.
yeah, I mean, if if you get, I guess, a decent pick to do that, I wouldn't do it for free,
Right.
but
And realistically, Toronto doesn't have a pick to give you. They can give you Winnipeg's third,
hmm,
and I
which
might. It's not terrible, but
I might do that depending on what else you're looking at. Like if this is because how they're projecting it, they probably will need another center if they don't bring in one of those big name free agent types, and you're kind of hoping you can slot in at that spot. I don't know. Then you're saying Gord is still your 2C. You're looking at Beniers, Gord, Wenberg, and Kerfoot,
yeah,
which I don't love.
no. It's not great.
Um,
And if the Kraken are going to try to be aggressive and add potentially 3 free agents of like note, you can't. I don't know that you can take on that contract cap wise.
right. Yeah, I think it's just too much. I mean, and you're helping the Leafs out of their issues. I don't know that you want to be eager to do that unless they really make it worth your while.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean, looking at the Leafs picks.
right because they're not giving you a first to do that. They're not
No,
that
absolutely
desperate,
not.
and then they
No,
just
I
don't
mean you're looking at, and they
have
don't
anything
have any
else.
second until 2024. Yeah, they're giving you're getting a third basically. If and it's probably
And
next year's. They probably don't want to get rid of this year's third because they have their first, third, and seventh, and that's it this year.
yeah, I was just gonna say I don't even think they'd give up that third. So I don't know. I don't know why. Um, yeah. Unless you just really like Kerfoot, I don't know why the
Which
Kraken would do that.
yeah, which there have been talks that they have that well, I mean this is back to the expansion draft. Because Hackstall did also used to coach him in Toronto, but I've never seen the appeal.
I was gonna say, what's his like advanced stats like?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay, with this game, I thought about doing this on Twitter yesterday, but had graduation stuff. But it was Jake Gensel was still leading the playoffs in expected goals, and I was gonna say how long until someone passes him. McDavid has passed him in this game.
Well, there you go.
But when will someone else pass him? Um, you're probably gonna get there before I do. Where is he? Kerfoot's.
It's funny looking at Kerfoot and
Yeah,
McCann's player cards from the time of the
I
expansion
know.
draft and how different they are. Kerfoot at like 27%, WAR project percentile, and McCann at 81.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
goals above perspective expected, uh, minus 1.7 each of the last 2 seasons for Kerfoot. Not great.
nope.
Don't really want to see that.
Like he's a fine bottom six. Basically, he's a fine bottom six forward to have. Like, and if you're on a contending team, but at that price point, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
You can find guys that do what he does for cheaper.
Yeah. Because you're basically just giving yourself a second Donskoy contract.
Yeah, and like, do you want that?
Yeah. I mean, I would do that, but I'd need the draft pick to go along with it, or some sort of asset, and I just don't think Toronto's in a place for it.
Yep.
All right, Ty Flames. All you have to do is shoot. It's Mike Smith in there. Lol, let's go. To some extent, I do agree with you, Ty. I think they just need to shoot more. They're not the team that needs to lock this down.
No.
Aaron might have been brought up already, but anyone feeling like, despite the injuries, the Lightning are becoming a machine that's not going to get stopped? We did talk about that a little bit earlier on, Aaron, and yes, it is really starting to feel that way. They're making the adjustments they have to make team by team, and really game by game. And
yeah, and it feels like they're just getting started, man. I mean,
it does.
And but that's how it felt kind of the last two seasons going through the playoffs, until they show me something different that they're not going to approach things that way. I've got to believe that they will continue to do that.
Yeah. Stray Addict Slavkovsky could be a reverse Draisaitl in that comp early on. Draisaitl was Thornton or Kopitar, big guy who passes, doesn't shoot, then developed a killer shot. I would say that that's an easier way of doing it. I think it's a lot harder to develop hockey sense and playmaking ability than it is to work on your shot and stuff. Any sort of those more physical
and it's something that we just
easier.
don't see improve as often over the course of a career. But yeah, I do remember like the Kopitar, comp certainly at that time.
Yeah, I just think it's generally, I mean, they obviously all develop and they get used to the speed of the NHL and stuff. I can't really think of anybody that developed and turned into a playmaker that wasn't one already to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there has been.
Oh, wow,
let me
what a
know.
goal.
But yeah, well, there he is
showing up.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, he just finishes that. Was that Draisaitl who sent the puck over to him?
And really, it wasn't even that pass. It was the pass before that one too.
That's true. Yeah, no, the pass to get over was good. Yeah, it was a bad change by the Flames here. You've got
really bad
coming out of the off the bench. But
Okay,
yeah,
so
this pass
yeah.
by Draisaitl to get it there. Good patience by Kane to wait out Markstrom.
Right.
I mean, that's just the scorer's instinct right there, knowing exactly what you got to do with that puck.
Yeah, but it was a good entry read by Kane to get the puck over to Draisaitl, and then keep your foot on the gas and head straight to the net like that. Like that's something that it works every time basically, and yet you'll never see anybody talk about it because it's one of those things that should seem obvious and should seem basic, and yet go watch most of these games. Most guys don't do that.
So what's the deal with Kane and Tkachuk here?
They're hotheads.
I mean, yeah.
And they're having to stand next to each other. Like, what do you mean? I mean, we know Kachuk's been talking, trash to him.
Oh yeah, no, we know this. Yes. Yeah, I think a couple times bringing up the money issue.
Like Aaron, as a beer league captain, I'd be howling about that line change. It was rough. And Kane going to the box. Looked like someone was going to the box. I saw a linesman next to him, so I thought he was going.
Yeah, I don't know. He's kind of spun away, but we'll see what happens. Gave Tkachuk the separator.
That was definitely, it was a nice goal. It was a nice play. Yeah, no, it was a fantastic pass from Draisaitl, and yes, the skill to be able to hold on to it and the patience there, it's all really good. That's what I'm saying. It was a fantastic play all around. I want to point out, because so few players will do it, to make that read on the zone entry, to know that, okay, it's better off if Draisaitl takes this one in because he's going to have more time and space, and so I'm going to give it to him, and then I'm going to charge to the net as fast as I can. Because that's the thing that players don't do. They'll do the first part, but they don't finish it up with the second. But it gives you goals, like, so often.
It does, and sometimes you got to take some punishment to do that. But but you get rewarded for it.
Yeah, so it doesn't happen without either of their efforts. It was both, they were both fantastic on that one, and the goal came from it for sure. Um, Alex, I don't want a first Donskoy contract. That one. Ty, Hack's schemes killed Donskoy. He doesn't get to play what he's good at, and it threw him way off. Go watch his Avs highlights. Way different player doing way different things. I'd agree with that.
I mean, and I watched
extent.
him for a while with the Sharks too.
Yeah.
And at the start of the season, he was doing those same things with the Kraken. He was playing that way, and then halfway through the season, it kind of stopped.
Yeah. Stamkos really learned how to
penalties.
be. Yeah, which I agree with. I mean, I didn't see anything. If it was all still related just to the face-off stuff, then yeah, there shouldn't be
It's
penalties.
like Kane starting this, like trying to chirp over here at Tkachuk.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you if you're up by 2?
Yeah.
Other than you don't necessarily want to poke the bear, but you're so outplaying him right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Tkachuk's someone that when he gets pissed off really goes into like God mode.
No, he's really not.
Yeah.
And we saw this in the Dallas series too. He was playing pissed off the whole series, and
yeah, he didn't play well. Good.
Yeah, the Flames still just look like they're playing distracted.
Yeah, and
all playoffs they have been.
I will say, just to Ty's credit, just get a couple shots there, and boy, you just have zero confidence watching Mike Smith play.
What a pass from McDavid. And Kane, of course, on the other end. Man, he's going to be able to chirp the heck out of that.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I'll tell you, besides shooting, if I had a young hockey player and they were just going to focus on doing one thing over and over and over to build muscle memory, it would be backhand saucer passes.
Mm-hmm.
If you can consistently...
Yeah, there are a lot of situations like that where you're... I mean, because as a defenseman, you think you've got him, right? I mean, you forced him into that spot. But if you can get that puck over, it's dangerous. And also just the stick handling at the blue line.
Yeah. Yeah, the body control and everything.
Yep. The turn of the hips.
Well, I think Evander Kane probably just passed Gensel for expected goals in the playoffs too now.
Probably. That one's got to be pretty high. I'm looking at, let's see, where is it? I had a tweet queued up about no, that wasn't there. About just like the scoring through 2 rounds. And I think McDavid has that now. Most points through 2 rounds.
Oh, he must.
Yeah, or he's tied with McKinnon. He's got 22 points, right?
Oh.
2 tonight.
Does he have 2 tonight? I mean, we know he has that one.
I know he has at least 2.
Did he have one on the first goal?
Yeah, he had one on the first goal.
Then
so he's got 22 now. Wow.
Is that all?
Is this their 10th game?
9th, right? Because they went. Yeah. So it's their 10th game.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's his 9th multi-point game this postseason.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Yeah, they're showing it right now. Crosby 19 and 24, McDavid 22 and 10.
Oh yeah, the Crosby Conn Smythe that he did not deserve.
He did not. That was Phil Kessel's.
Yep. Yeah, I know you agree with me on this. You have since that night when we saw it awarded to him in person.
I was so ready. I wanted to cheer on the hot dog man.
I would have applauded for Phil Kessel. I would have, even being heartbroken Sharks fan after that game because he deserved it. But yes, I did boo the Crosby selection because it was wrong.
So, yeah, I'm gonna second Ty here. Just shoot if you're the Flames. Because like I was saying right before that goal scored, just watching Mike Smith, I have zero confidence in him stopping a puck. Like he looks very uncomfortable and he doesn't look solid at all. It's just they're not getting shots. I like Edmonton's kind of, well, if we can't rely on anybody specific defensively, we'll just make it a group effort and swarm the puck carrier.
Yeah, basically.
I don't know that it would work against all the teams, but it's certainly working against Calgary.
Yeah, no, I think it's the kind of thing that would fall apart against a lot of teams, but the Flames just don't seem to have a focus offensively right now.
Yeah, no, they can't
They're
handle it.
just lost identity wise.
All those people on Twitter calling him McRegular season.
Not
No, he's playing out of his
anymore.
mind, and I love seeing the best player in the world play like the best player in the world on the biggest stage. Like I absolutely loving this.
Yep.
I know Madero's probably isn't, but
Oh man, more chances here. Oh, here we go. Johnny Gaudreau breakaway. Can't finish, but wow, did Smith stop Kachuk there too?
I mean, if he did, good on him.
I think Mike Smith just is good for one shutout every single playoff series where he's just completely unbeatable.
Just for no reason. Everybody, Mike Smith is
He
under
even
check.
tries to play that puck and get rid of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes right up onto Kachuk's stick.
And that's just
Oh man.
like unlucky too if you're Kachuk. Like you just did everything you could, and you just happened to send it to the one bit of net that is covered by his glove.
Yep.
By the what, foot and a half of square feet that's covered by his glove. Medeiros, thank God I tuned out and have no clue why I was mentioned. Yeah, it wouldn't make you happy. We'll put it that way. But I wasn't talking trash either, so there's that. 7 straight for the Oilers. Aaron pointing out that is impressive.
Yep. Yeah, 7 straight goals for the Oilers. That's true. Yeah, they are on the run in this series. The momentum has been all theirs, and it's carried over through games.
Yeah, Ty pointing out Colorado will destroy Mike Smith. They will. They absolutely will. That's the matchup.
Yeah, I feel like St. Louis would too. I just this is such a flawed Oilers team. As much as we're congratulating them right now, and as great as they're playing right now, I just
Yeah,
and I was thinking this through game 1 too. Like just myself, like both of these teams are so flawed.
Yeah. No, they really are.
I was thinking it all Kings Oilers series, so maybe I'm just wrong about this.
I was gonna say no, but this is why the Kraken just got to figure it out next year because this division is bad.
Yes, like this is the division you're going into. If you can just be okay,
just make the postseason against these guys and stuff. You can figure it out.
Yep. Mike Smith will be their goalie next year. He's going to be starting in the playoffs with them next year. You're going to have another crack at this. Just got to get there.
And who knows what Calgary will look like? Who knows what Vegas will look like?
Yeah, I mean, Calgary, I wouldn't be surprised if they heavily regress, certainly if they lose Johnny Gaudreau.
Exactly. So.
And yeah, I think Vegas is going to be better, but you don't know for sure. You don't know who their coach is going to be.
Right. It's going to be Tippett.
It wouldn't be a bad idea. Wouldn't be a particularly good idea, but
I was gonna say let's go from DeBoer.
I was thinking
like,
Talkett.
Oh, Talkett. Yeah, could be. I've liked him on the broadcast. I don't want that.
I have too. Which, as we know, we can't have nice things on the broadcast, so Talkett's going to get a job somewhere.
Don't worry, Medeiros. Gross McDavid smile. That's what it was actually. It had nothing to do with the Stars or Otter or anything. It was McDavid stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Evander Kane.
I mean, he's having a very Evander Kane game right now. Let's be real.
Yeah, no, he's got a couple goals. Just took a dumb penalty. Been chirping quite a bit. He is in playoff form.
Yeah. I'm still surprised Rick Tocchet wasn't the coach of the Kraken.
I am too. I was so sure they were going in that direction. So sure. I even saw that. I know I've told the story a bunch of times, but I even saw the Rick Tocchet jersey at the Mariners game the day when he had the third interview with the Kraken. I'm like, this is the sign. This is good. Who's going to be the coach?
All right,
I had my Kraken hire Rick Tocchet article ready and
I
written,
know, I know.
and I had to go like rewrite and change everything because like Hackstall, I had to go do a bunch of research.
Um, I'm gonna say it. This is must score power play if you're the Flames.
Yeah, to win this game, yes.
I don't usually like saying that kind of stuff, but I feel that on this one.
Yep.
Just get shots. Like they can't even get shots. Like this is terrible.
Yep. I mean,
All these
good job. Was that 71 McLeod keeping it down there?
all these people talk about Avs over both of these teams. Avs gotta get past the Blues first. It's only a 2-1 series, guys.
Yeah, series isn't over. Blues are gonna need some better goaltending, but it's not over.
I mean, my bracket's over, but
Huh?
my bracket's over if it's no Blues, no Panthers.
Oh yeah, totally. If the Blues get out, my bracket's over
Yeah.
too.
I know somebody up there was talking about. I think it was Alex talking about Phil from that year, and it was his.
Yep.
We all know it. We all know it. Gosh, that was 7 years ago, RJ. Can you believe that?
That's true.
Oh, 6 years.
Yeah.
I can do math.
Oh, here comes McDavid with Kane again.
Mm-hmm. It looks identical.
Kane did the same move and scored again. Is that a hat? Yeah, that's a hat trick.
Natural hat trick for Kane.
Oh my god.
The natty hattie.
23 points for McDavid. So now McDavid has the most points of anyone in the Cap era through 2 playoff rounds.
Hey, good for him. He's earned it.
Yep, natural hat trick for Evander Kane.
He has for sure earned it. Do you sit Markstrom now? Probably.
Yes. Yes.
I'd
Put
go
Vladar
ahead.
in right now.
Yeah, I'd go ahead and do that while they got to pick up all the hats and everything. I'd go ahead
exactly.
And do
You
it.
don't even have to throw Markstrom under the bus here. You just be like, look, we're down 4-0. I need to do something to try and change momentum, light a fire under the guys.
Yep.
Like at this point, it's not on Markstrom, especially on that same one.
Did you mean to make that pun, RJ? That
No.
Michael's giving you credit for?
Thank you, though, Michael. Appreciate it.
Because I was gonna give you props too. To be honest, I didn't even catch it, but I was like, "Wow, that's good." Medeiros,
I don't blame you, Medeiros.
Like, I don't blame you either.
It's like we're talking about all this greatness from Connor McDavid, and it's awesome. But like, at what cost?
Right.
Evander Kane getting a hat trick. Like, is this? It's not worth it. I mean, look at Kane just north south.
Yep. That's what I'm
speed
saying.
down the ice.
He's doing that. A lot of guys just don't do that, but he's getting rewarded for it, and that's why I wanted to point it out. And if I was coaching kids again, young players, I'd be showing them this. I'd be like, don't be like Evander Kane in like any other aspect of life, but do this.
Just in this one way.
This is it. Is this a record for hats?
It's a lot of hats.
It's a lot of hats for sure.
A lot of hats hit the ice. Which again, love Canada. Like this is what you get. The fans look at how many hats.
As they immediately show a shot of the stands and there's
two people like wearing hats in the crowd. Yeah. Wait, is he just waving a hat around? Throw it.
I know.
I mean, you should have thrown it already, but that should be a basic. Like, if you're going to wear a hat to a hockey game, make it one you're comfortable with losing.
Yes. Which for
Dylan,
my dad would be none.
You haven't seen any home hat tricks live, right? You just got the Verbata one.
Yes, and an Erik Karlsson one.
That's right.
Both in Anaheim. Just Erik Karlsson with the Sens coming in. Both on... No, they weren't fan appreciation night. That was 90s night, the Erik Karlsson one. But yes. I'm trying to think. Was the Karlsson one
yeah, that
natural?
90s night game. That was so cool.
That was really fun. I love the fact that like the first hat trick I can remember seeing though was Redeem Verbata, like because I loved him as a player, and that's just such like a thing to be like, yeah, I was there for one of those.
Yeah, it's so obscure to just the player. Like, um, let's see, home hat tricks that
I
have
know,
been.
just spent $50 on this hat. Lol. I know, hats are not
Yeah.
cheap anymore.
No, they're really not. Um, that's true. You gotta find one that's cheap that you can break and throw.
Well,
It's
and again, it's one of those like the player gets the choice of keeping any that they want, but then most arenas will let you like come down the next day and pick yours up if you have like your information in it.
oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
I guess I shouldn't say most, but I know that some do.
Okay, that's cool. They'll have you do that.
I remember reading this whole article. It was about the Predators. Like that's something the Predators for sure do, and they said some other teams did it. I just don't remember which ones. It was a while ago.
Huh.
But it's like the player gets the choice of keeping any if they want them, and a lot of times they'll just pick like one just to like remember the hat trick. But like, what are they gonna do with buckets of hats, right?
Right.
So
Like there's nothing that yeah.
and so they'll like leave it open for the next day or two for people to come down and get it if they can identify theirs, and then they'll just donate them.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, the donate. I knew they would donate like the majority of them. Yeah, I'm looking. I've been to I guess 4 hat tricks where it's been a home player. Most recently, Jordan Eberle.
Yeah.
That was a fun one.
Um, I would not throw my least favorite hat. Well, I mean, just because it's Kane, or just in general Maderos. Like if that's Robertson, throwing all the
Yeah,
hats, right?
yeah. Like if it's Kane, I get it. But if it's yeah, in general, you got to throw the hat.
Um, I
Oh
just
wait,
never wear hats, so I wouldn't have one to throw.
actually I got 2 free, but I was gonna buy a hat when I was at CPA because I'm not ever throwing the hat.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yep, fair enough.
You bring a good point. Um, yeah, Ty, I was ready to sail my Kraken hat with the ECH pin on it. Would have been amazing, lol.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah. In Montreal, they throw jerseys. Ty.
Yeah, certainly if Evander Kane scored a hat trick on them.
Hmm. I thought that might have gone in.
Oh yeah, that one from the bad angle there.
Yeah. Is that Barry? Yeah. Looks like it.
Yeah.
Future Kraken, perhaps?
I was gonna say, are the Oilers? I haven't even really researched this. Are the Oilers in a position where they're gonna have to move him?
Let's find out. To cap friendly we go.
Yep. Come along on this journey with us.
Yes, you always. Gosh, why are the Oilers so far up that list?
I know.
It's crazy. Um.
All right.
All right, let's see. What do they got going on for next year? Got 21 players under contract. That's not bad, actually. Like roster players, 2.3
Right.
in cap space. Now, you got to think Evander Kane, they're going to give him a new contract, and that number is going to be pretty decent after
Right.
everything he's done for them. How do they have 21 guys under contract for next year? Like, they've got like a million UFAs. Oh, it's because of the
'Cause-
expanded playoff roster. That's why.
That's what it is. Yeah, because I'm looking at their yeah.
Yeah, I don't
They're
know.
gonna
That's
need
tough.
6, 7, yeah, 8, 9,
Yeah,
9 really forwards that are, huh?
moving one of Barry or Cece is going to be necessary.
Yeah, I think so, and I think Barry's certainly gonna get you the better return.
Yeah. Otherwise, just Duncan Keith, why? Why did
Yeah,
you do that to
exactly.
yourself? Zach Hyman, why? Why did you do that to yourself? Like, there's zero forethought.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind the Kraken picking up Tyson Barry. He'd be a much cheaper solution to their, puck moving right-handed D problem
Yeah.
than some of these other options we've talked about of Letang or Klingberg or Brent Burns. Oh,
so-
we have Leah Hextall holding up the hats behind the net.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say this. I know a lot of people got their wish not calling the games in the second round, but good God, the Buchagras games, like the one last night or whatever, he is the worst play-by-play hockey announcer I've ever heard.
He's not good. Um,
I cannot
it's.
think of anyone worse.
I
Just like
mean,
at calling a game, like just seeing and calling a game. I have no idea, and then not talking about the game at all, just deciding to talk about literally everything else in the world.
Yeah, he's certainly got his style, and it's not all about the game. I just it's tough with these some of these ESPN broadcasts because it's this trade-off where for me, like, the ESPN ones are super easy to stream because I've got it like on the
Mm-hmm.
app and everything and through the website. So easy to stream, really convenient. But they're so much worse than like the
They are.
TNT or the TBS ones, which are harder for me to stream.
Yeah.
And it's this trade-off. I don't know which one I'd actually prefer. Probably still the TNT ones.
I was gonna say, yeah, the TNT ones. It's not the streaming thing's not as much of an issue for me,
Yeah, I know. For you, it's easier.
but oh my gosh, I was just dying listening to him call that last game he called. I was just like, oh my god. Do want to shout out Jules here in chat talking
Yeah.
about stuff. That's why I have a Kraken beanie and not a hat, though I have multiple LA Kings hats from work. So it sounds like works with the Kings here. Kings give out hats with their logo as a rainbow in them. We keep leftovers. So that sounds like what they do. And I like this one especially, RJ, because you'll appreciate this. On security radio, someone called in, we have multiple people throwing hats on the ice. This was Kings versus Oilers. It was pretty funny to hear.
Oh yes.
I believe it.
Yep. That's LA for you.
Being a multiple games at the Crypt. Not that I've been there since it's been
How much
rebranded.
longer do they hold the naming rights on that one, Dylan?
Through that contract, they'll survive it. What's crazy is between that contract and the one they gave Matt Damon for those ads, that's so much money.
I know. So much money out the door. What's going on here down low?
They got locked out of the locker room, it looks like.
Ah.
That Trevor Lewis, Kachuk. I missed the two guys close to the door.
Yeah, I missed them too.
Now, is that
Yeah.
gamesmanship from Edmonton or just an honest mistake?
Yeah, I don't know. I just heard the broadcaster saying it's been one of those nights for the Calgary Flames.
Yeah. All right. I think Hunter asked this earlier, and then we skipped it. Who's the most realistic Kraken free agent signing?
Most realistic, as in one we could most likely see happening.
I guess. I'm sure it's it's a defenseman. It's like a lower tier defenseman. Probably is the most realistic. If you mean like of the bigger names,
I'd say Klingberg.
You really think so?
I think most likely of the bigger names, Klingberg or Letang.
Yeah.
I think it would be a mistake. You know my thoughts on this, but it feels to me like that might be where they're headed.
Yeah, you see
Especially, I could see Gaudreau and Forsberg just wanting to go elsewhere.
Yes, I was going to say.
Either whether that's staying with their respective teams or whether that's signing somewhere else that isn't Seattle. I could see them whiffing on those guys and overpaying Klingberg. That is, I think, yeah.
In my mind, this playoffs has cemented that Gaudreau is out. I don't think he wants back to Calgary after all this. But
out of Calgary, yes.
Here we go, another 2-on-1. That was a horrible pass.
Yep.
That?
Man, the Flames.
The Flames are terrible right now. They just
chasing the puck around.
Don't know what they're doing at all.
Focus.
Like, that was your opportunity. They should have broken out and transitioned the other way with numbers.
Yep. You're making it very easy on the Oilers defending here.
Yeah.
They don't have to do anything.
Oh, Richie, come on, man.
Stratic putting it Zadorov. No, I don't think they're going to go after. Certainly
no.
If they didn't take him in
meant it for the shot. Did you see the 99-mile-an-hour one that whizzed right by Smith's head?
Okay, yeah. No, I did see that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming that's what it is and not the
No, no,
other,
I'm
but
sure. No, I'm sure that's what it was.
timing worked
I
out that way.
didn't put two and two together there. Yeah, Hunter not a fan of the Klingberg thing.
I know. I'm not either, but you might be right. Just because there's already smoke for it.
Right. That's what it like. It's so early, and there's already some smoke there, seeming like there's interest. And I worry. I'm not convinced of this, but I worry that Ron Francis sees the defenseman need as a bigger need than the forward. The goal scoring forward need.
Why? I honestly
it makes
don't understand
no sense to me, and I'm not even convinced necessarily that Ron Francis thinks this way because he hasn't tipped his hat one way or the other. But I'm worried that that's what it is. We'll find out in due time, but if that is how he sees it, I think that's a mistake.
It's just crazy to me when you're bottom 5 in like every offensive metric, and you can say, well, we had unreasonably bad goaltending that you cannot expect to be that bad again just because of how historically bad it was,
Right.
at least to start the year. Like, you just got to think, okay, if that rebounds to just being below average instead of horrendous, we just need goals. Like,
Right. Well, what also worries me, and again, this is not Ron Francis's words, but this is from an insider like Elliot Friedman, and I'm gonna go find the thing.
Yeah.
Where is it? Oh yeah, I think they're gonna go after some players with offensive ability up front and on the blue line.
Yep.
And that says like maybe he sees getting a guy like Klingberg as someone who can kind of help drive offense, even though he's a defenseman.
Which he can to some extent.
It's possible, like you can do that. I'm always really wary of that, especially after the Sharks completely failed in that regard. Like, hey, look, we're gonna have Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns, and think of all the offense we can drive.
Well,
even though we
I know,
don't
but
have the forwards to back it up now.
I mean, Klingberg hasn't done it recently, but you look at his first couple years in the league: 10 goals, 58 points; 13 goals, 49 points; 8 goals, 67 points. Like, he can. Like,
yeah, no, he can.
And really, then he gets the demotion because that's when Heiskanen comes in and kind of takes over.
Right.
So.
And yeah, and you look at that Cup final team and with Dallas and a lot of the recent teams, like Heiskanen's been driving the bus for a while there now.
Right. Yeah. No. Those years that I was just giving for Klingberg. Those were what, 3 or 4 years ago. 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, when given the opportunity, he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't imagine he lost the ability to do that.
No, I think he still can. But again, if you that would also be like on a team with some finishers, which the Kraken are
right.
not.
Yes. Yeah. Again, you need those first. Like, Klingberg is 29, I believe. Medeiros. Let me double check that.
Yeah.
He's 29. Let me see when his birthday is. Does this August 14th? So he'll be 30 next year.
Okay, so yeah, he'll be 30 by the time the season starts.
Yeah.
Which gives me some pause, that's for sure. Especially on likely the 6 or 7 year term. And I know you gave me a hard time about this yesterday on Twitter, which like thanks for that was funny. That was
fun.
Just gonna do that. But I hope I made it up to you a little bit, like today talking about how Burns like wouldn't be the worst thing in the world at his age. It's different for everyone. Burns just defies aging curves. But I don't know that Klingberg will be one of those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2 things here from Sergio. Re-signing Donato. Like, yes, please. Like, why has that already happened? And Kraken needs somebody who can score power play goals.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's all you need. Oh, okay. Stratic did mean Zadorov is the most realistic UFA signing.
Oh, okay.
Not the shot. That was just... It just worked out that way. Ty, we need a Russian. They bring swag that others can't match. How many times did we say we just need somebody to do something?
Added a blank off and buckle up.
I know. I mean, things are never boring them around. We'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. there are definitely some Russian players who kind of fit that mold. Um, I
Let's
wouldn't mind that.
let's
I
just
mean,
let's just make it the Vladislav Nemestikov. I mean, he might
yeah,
be the most boring of all the Russians, but also he's like the most solid
yep.
in our
Wonder if
price
those things are
range.
related. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that Tampa system. Just
Mm-hmm.
um, let's see. We have enough defensemen, especially if we draft one. Forward quality is woefully subpar. Is Francis usually like a big spender in free agency? Did we do? I know we looked at his draft history. Did we look at his free agency history?
We did drafts and trades, and I don't know if we did free agents. I mean,
Well, now we know what we're doing for the next one.
yeah, I feel like I've looked at that myself, whether it was researching for that podcast or not. But yeah, I mean, that would be a great thing to do is look at Ron Francis's free agent signing history.
There you go. Next
If I
deep dive.
recall correctly, I don't think he's been very active. I also don't think he's had the full budget necessarily in Carolina
Well,
that he has here.
that has been a thing. And to be honest, their
So
system, like pipeline wise, was always so solid they didn't really need to be.
right, and so I don't know how much we can really read into that, considering it's just going to be different here. And I think Francis would probably like to just build up that pipeline and be solid, so you don't have to use free
Yeah,
agency.
exactly.
But I don't think with the pressure to win now, I don't think he has that option.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. Um, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I could see Klingberg maybe not coming to Seattle. That could be one though, where if Seattle's the only team willing to pony up the money for him, he would.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be after because this is his one chance to set
Yeah,
himself up with that kind of money, and I think for certain guys that's gonna be the deciding factor. Klingberg, I could see being one of them. Brian Rust is another one. I was scared that might be a factor for him. Turns out it wasn't the case. That he'd rather stay in Pittsburgh. But if he was hitting the open market, I think he just takes as much money as he can get.
was I not just talking about this with everybody? People, they just want to stay in Pittsburgh. Everybody, they take the hometown discount to stay in Pittsburgh. It's just what happens. Nobody wants to leave that culture. You got Mike Sullivan as your coach. You got Berkey in that front office, Hextall in that front office. You're playing with Sid. Like, why do you leave? It makes no sense.
Yeah, well, Rust agrees.
Yeah. So, I'm looking around the league and I see other teams willing to give Forsberg and Gaudreau the money. I'm struggling
Yeah,
to see the team that would go toe to toe with the Kraken, bidding war
and give
wise with
Klingberg that kind
Klingberg.
of money.
Yeah,
Because and that's what I really worry about. That's the worst case scenario in my mind, is that other teams will more or less match financially the Kraken's offer for a Forsberg or a Gaudreau. And as who was pointing it out in chat here, Ty Forsberg has no reason to come here. I think if you're comparing it to a Boston or an LA, those teams give you a lot more indication that they can win right away. And I just don't know that. Okay,
I would
LA.
argue the Boston one, but yes, I
Yeah,
know what you're
LA. Okay,
saying.
LA gives you more, and maybe some team that we're not thinking about. Maybe
Right.
Colorado does give you a halfway decent offer. I don't know, but there's going to be these other teams out there. Whereas with Klingberg, I just don't know, and I feel like he's going to be their backup option and the one they are forced to go with.
Yeah, because the teams that could do it are worse teams than the Kraken.
Yep.
Like, tell me you don't think Ottawa's gonna try to offer a bunch of money there.
Yeah, no, they might.
Like, you know what I mean?
And if I'm Klingberg, I'm looking at it. I take Seattle over Ottawa.
For sure. I could see Columbus do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Although, well, I guess Lewinsky's contract kicks in next year. But
Yeah.
what does Detroit do? Well, not that Iserman would do that deal anyway.
No, Eiserman absolutely would not do that. He's too smart for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they have their whole weird "do we extend Larkin" thing.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Lots of people in here. I'd love Burns. It's from Ty. I do agree. I think the Burns thing could work for the Kraken, just timeline wise.
Yeah, I mean, keeping it to 3 years, if he can, and he's a fitness freak. He defies
Yeah,
all aging curves.
yeah. Oh, real quick, Tom. I think that Slovak League MVP could bring the goal scoring the Kraken need. You guys know anything about him? Talked about him earlier. Hasn't signed yet, so it's just it's not like he is in the system. That is something to remember, and realistically, an AHL guy
Yeah,
most
at
likely.
least to start. And in
Yeah,
the NHL, projects as more of a depth guy.
yeah,
He's not the answer to the Kraken's goal scoring problems, but he would be a good dart throw to have, and it's a no risk signing if it does happen.
yeah. Aaron, after the season, I've adjusted my Kraken expectations to competing in year 3 or 4. I think they're still going to struggle next season, but I'm excited to see the organization develop further. Anyone excited to seeing some Firebirds games up there? Well, that would be cool. They
I'm
if they
very
do
excited
that.
to see that, and that was a cool little bit that we weren't expecting
Yeah,
from that Ron Francis presser at the end of the season. That we'll get some Firebirds games up here. I think it'll really build a connection between the fans and some of their players.
yeah. But as far as them being competitive more in year 3 or 4, I certainly think that's where you're going to have like cup contenders status. I still think they should be competitive for a playoff spot next year, just because, I mean, in the NHL, most teams are.
Right. I mean, and you get to that point where you make the playoffs and then anything can happen.
Yeah,
And we've seen that so often in the playoffs. You just got to get in and take your shot. Um, and yeah, I mean that's kind of clearly what the organization has as their expectations for next year is making the playoffs.
hmm,
That's what success is to them.
yeah. And I think that that's a good goal. I think it's an
Yes.
achievable one, but it's not a for sure one. Like,
Right.
it's not like too low of an expectation kind of thing. I think it's appropriate. Um, Stratic, if Medeiros is still around, don't worry. I predict Kane will cost the Oilers their playoff life by taking a bad penalty in an elimination game. So all this hat trick stuff is setting up the moment where he takes a bad cross check in game 7 and the other team scores to win the series. That to me is like the most probable outcome of all of this.
Yes. No, could certainly happen. I mean, you can just picture it, right?
Yeah, oh,
Um,
thousand
in
percent.
in clear color in your head. It's just you can, as if we've seen it before. It's yeah.
Yeah. Sandpipes at the Kraken struggle. I want them to struggle mightily so that they are within range to get Bedard. I mean, that would be the best situation, I guess. If you're going to be bad
I
again,
mean, if
just be
they
as
do
bad as
struggle, that's the
possible.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, Medeiros. Two things would completely sour the final of my first hockey season: Kane and Tampa hoisting cups. Alex, no!
Yeah. No, I think Alex would probably be fine with Tampa hoisting the cup. It wouldn't be so bad.
It wouldn't be so bad. I don't think so. Um,
Kane, on the other hand, no, we do not want
I was
this.
gonna say, yeah, there's a couple other ones that I think would be worse. The Bolts are kind of growing on me after I hated them last year. The coaching is just so good; it's hard not to respect. It's from Striatic. The coaching and the players. I want Corey Perry to get another one. RJ, he's earned it. He
I
dragged
I
Dallas to a
would
cup final. He dragged
I will
Montreal to
give
a
you
cup
that he's
final.
earned it. I know, and not even for this, like for the last two seasons,
Yeah,
he actually did redeem himself somewhat last year for me, helping Montreal past Vegas. He's had his interesting career arc here,
yeah,
but yeah, I don't know that he needs it, but
he needs it. You know why? Because once he gets it, he's going to retire.
okay, yeah, you know what, that'll be the
like
end.
like let's be real, as all these O3 guys are retiring right now, the thing that's keeping him going is the fact that he was so freaking close the last 2 years.
You know, that's a good point.
So if you want a league without Corey Perry, you got to let him win another one.
Yep.
um, let's see. um, Jules saying just not the Avs. Be okay with Tampa. Stratic, I want Yanni to be happy, and I feel like he'd be happy if Tampa won. I gotta think he'd be happy. Although it would also be pretty bittersweet because you're just like, I could still be there.
Yeah, for this expansion thing, I could have been there.
Yeah. Um, Michael, where would y'all rank them historically if Tampa three-peats? I mean, they have to be in the conversation of one of the best teams of all time, if not the best team of all time, given the salary cap restrictions they had to face.
Yes, how difficult that is to do. I don't know that we'd ever see it again. a three-peat in the salary cap era just so difficult to do.
Not only that, having your first two, one come in the bubble, which is something unlike anybody's had to do before, and then the next one coming through a year in which you're playing all these games in like empty arenas too.
Yep.
And then to finally do it this year during a full like normal season, so to speak.
Yeah, and you've done it in all ways, in all manners, with
Yeah.
some different supporting players too, different guys stepping up. I think certainly they'd be the best team of their generation easily, like better than all the other, mid like 2010s dynasties, Blackhawks, Kings,
Penguins.
Penguins.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Sorry, Medeiros, for all of
I
this
know,
stuff.
I know.
Again, we're not rooting for it to happen. I don't want the same team winning the cup every year. I don't like this stuff.
No, I don't know. I don't think it'd be the worst thing. Yes, Triadic with the salary cap restrictions and quotes on Tampa. Let's see. As an organization, Tampa is what everyone should strive for. Players, coaching, management. 1,000% agree, Aaron. They are the model that everybody should be trying to work off of.
But they're not, because it's weird. Because like, how do you even replicate? They're so kind of perfect in a lot of ways. I feel like teams don't even see them as an attainable model. I don't hear a lot about like trying to emulate Tampa. Like,
that's
as far as
true.
teams,
But that's also because like everybody,
you just got to draft perfectly for so many years, get players to re-sign on ridiculously team-friendly deals. Like, I don't know how you even really get that to work in another situation. I feel like it's almost, this unattainable model.
I mean, Pittsburgh did it. A couple other teams have, but they don't get talked about for whatever reason. Because like individuals get talked about. Like everybody will say, "Gotta be like Yzerman," but they won't like mention everything around him and all the stuff that's continued since he's left. That's arguably been the stuff that's made the difference.
Yeah, and the Penguins, I'll give you, especially with their player development.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why. Other than, you know why? Because they're another Sun Belt team. That's why. And so, yes, they win the cup every year, and all eyes are on them as they do their boat parade. But still, then the moment that's over, we just forget that they exist because they play so far south. That's why.
Yeah. Certainly a team in like a giant market like that, it would be impossible. Like,
Oh,
teams where
this
you
is
get
the Canadians. Like, could you imagine? Yeah. Yeah, see, there you go. Doesn't start with the climate. My mom's on the same page. See?
Yep.
Let's see. Michael John Cooper approaching historic coaching status too. Yeah, has to be.
Yeah. Anyone who coaches a team to that kind of success, 100%. And we see how important his coaching is to that too. I mean,
yes.
Players, like we mentioned earlier, they have all bought in.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Sandpipes, this is, and I do see Medeiros get better storylines, Gary, but again, Gary had the perfect storyline. He forced the Coyotes to continue to exist in Arizona. He got Austin Matthews, and then he didn't adjust the narrative past that. So that kind of tells you what kind of storyteller Gary Bettman is.
Well, Gary's storylines have always been bad. Also, like, I'm a big believer. If you just reverse the winner of the Stanley Cup Finals for like the last 20 years, the world is so much better.
Why?
Not every one of those years, but most of them.
Crosby would have 0 cups.
No,
He'd have one. He'd have one.
There you go.
This is a terrible timeline you're creating here.
The Preds would have one. The Sharks would have one. The Stars would have one.
Ovechkin wouldn't.
That would be a tragedy. Yes, that's one where it wouldn't be reversed.
The Oilers would have one.
Oh yeah, they would. You know what? That would be okay.
The Chris Pronger Oilers would have one.
No, the UC Markkanen Oilers. That would be such a cool story.
Dwayne Rollison, wasn't he the goalie we established earlier this year?
Well, yeah, he was the goalie, but then he got injured in the cup final. If he doesn't get injured, they win that final.
Probably. 20 years, so the Ducks would have 0.
That was just an
arbitrary. Just barely missed it.
No, they'd have one. What are you talking about? They'd have the one with Paul Correa, and they'd have the better one.
No, but I'm saying I think that passed the 20-year mark this year as I'm thinking about it. Because wasn't
it's 03.
Oh, it was 03. I thought it was 02.
No, it was 03.
All right. Yes, and that would be the better one.
Yep.
But also, dynasties are better for sports, and it's better for growth. Every league has shown us that, RJ. You need a villain. It's the WWE model.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying.
So fun having the Blackhawks as the villain. All these, so great for everyone.
I I mean I it gave
See, Stratic knows I'm onto something.
I don't know. The lack of dynasties has been the one thing that has separated the NHL from those other leagues over the last 25 years, and look where the NHL is viewership wise compared to the
We're
other
talking about
ones.
lack of dynasties. We've had the dynasties. That's been the problem.
We haven't had we have not had a Warriors like dynasty. We've not had a Yankees like dynasty.
How many championships did the Warriors win in their like dynasty?
4.
Okay,
But
we've
but
gotten
they
like,
made the finals 5 years in a row.
well, yeah, and that was terrible. You knew before day one of the season who was going to be in the finals. That was awful.
No, but that's one of those things that it gets people going because you're
I know you're
you're
rooting
rooting
against
for
them from the
your
start of the
team.
season because everyone
Yeah,
wants to see the like take the team down. I
right.
get that.
Yeah. And it builds camaraderie and it does drive viewership because anytime that looks like that team might be on the rope, guess who's tuning into game 5 of round 2? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like okay, 3 times. I could have sworn they won 4.
Huh?
I could have sworn they won 4. Oh yeah, they lost to the
Did they only
Raptors
win 3
once.
times?
Yeah, they won 3, but they still made it 5 years in a row.
Okay, well, you had the Blackhawks making it. What was it, like 4 out of 5 years or something? Or no, they won the 3. No, they didn't make it 4 out of 5. But still.
Yeah. I was gonna say they won all 3 of theirs. But you have like the Heat before them make it several in a row. They just didn't win any,
Well, I mean, with the
or they won
with the
one.
NHL, you
Maybe.
had what was it, 8 years in a row where like 3 teams won all the cups. Yeah, except won 7 of 8 cups, like from 2010 to or 2009 to 2017. Yeah, basically like 3 teams won all the cups.
Right. But it was different teams. I'm just saying. There was a healthy enough thing around it. Plus, that's where the parity towards the bottom half wasn't good either. Because that's the one thing about those other leagues. You're talking about luxury tax leagues too, which means you always have the potential also for your team to kind of get out of the basement. It doesn't feel as bad. Yes, there are the Pittsburgh Pirates and stuff where your team's never going to get out of there because they're never going to spend money to be competitive, but also
Mhm.
like you can then just write those markets off. In the NHL, those markets never get written off because in theory they're always just around the corner, but it just leads to disgruntled fan bases. You end up
I
with
mean,
Buffalo situations.
yeah, I would just blame the incompetent management though. Like that's not
Right, I know. That's
doesn't
what
matter
it.
what the situation
Yeah,
is.
I know. I'm saying that's what it is. But the bottom line is, it's apparently it's like quarterbacks. GMs are like quarterbacks. There's only like 12 in the world at any given time that are actually capable of doing the job. Because in a world of seven and a
Probably
half
more than
billion
not
people, you
GMs
can't.
at the moment.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. But they don't. But they keep recycling all the bad ones anyway.
Yeah.
Vladar is in, and that is the correct move. I would have done it before the end of the period, but
Yeah, I would have done it right after that hat trick goal. Yeah, let's see how he does. Who knows? He might be starting the next game. RJ just like Vegas.
yes.
Oh yeah, was there something about a puck controversy? Here in chat.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out because I see Striatics. I think it bounced differently or something, or couldn't be chilled the same as a regular puck. Hazy memories.
Oh yeah,
of some-
sandpipes. Completely off topic, but I was wondering if you guys know whether hockey has ever had a controversy on the construction or material used for the puck.
Yeah, they have
MLB has a huge issue with the
it's a
construction of the
problem.
baseball right now. I was curious if this has ever happened to the NHL. Well, I know they tried putting chips in pucks,
Yes,
and
they
the
didn't like the
players
feel.
it felt off. They didn't like them, so they stopped.
I'm trying to think of other stuff. I mean, there was the goalie pad size thing for a little while, but that wasn't quite the same.
Oh man, that puck! How did that stay out?
I know.
But no, I don't remember any kind of controversy. I'm sure, like if you go back far enough, into hockey history, there probably has been something.
I was gonna say when they first started like composite sticks, like,
Yeah.
but also that just became the norm, so it wasn't
And we sort of have sticks having
curves.
curves, and you had to
Yeah,
regulate that.
but again, those aren't really issues of like basically manufacturing problems.
Yeah. Cameron, I hope our GM can do the job. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I mean,
think it can.
I think he can too. I have confidence. Certainly after this past trade deadline, I had real doubts before that. But ever since the trade deadline, I've liked what he's been doing. And this offseason will be telling, though. A very, very important offseason for him.
Hmm.
This is one of those kind of make or break that really show what you're made of.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too, Stratic. I thought about the puck track thing, but it yes, in pre HD world of watching hockey was so miserable.
It's terrible. I remember the first games that they broadcast in HD. It was during the lockout that I remember, during the 0405 lockout. And they had like, they do one a week where it'd be on some kind of like HD channel and you'd watch the game in HD. And I'm like, whoa, I couldn't believe it. Like, I can actually see what's going on. There'd be replays of games from the prior season, so I
Yeah,
would know what happened, but still. Oh, 2-on-1. Nice save by Smith. Kachuk with
yeah.
a good toe drag there.
Kachuk's been robbed in this game several times now.
Yep. I mean, Smith has come to play also. Like, fair to him.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
this is that one game where he's just going to be completely lights out of the series.
yeah. Stratic. The controversy was when pucks changed to aluminum, or yeah, I think you meant sticks. Changed to
Yeah.
aluminum and then composite because the early ones broke so often. Yeah. Um, and then the curved
Red
sticks put.
aluminum pucks.
I know, that would be wild. Um, and the curved sticks put goalies' heads at risk, and then goalies all got masks, so it didn't matter. Gotta love that. They literally put curves on sticks before anybody thought that the goaltender should wear a mask.
I know.
Gotta
It's
love it. Um,
another save, Smith.
Sticks and pads controversies are more on the players trying to push the rules, but not the league itself, like corking bats or using illegal substance. Agreed. That's why I was just trying to, yeah, because as you point out at the bottom, the baseball is controlled 100% by the commissioner's office. I feel like messing with the pucks is more equivalent. It is, and that's why I was just spitballing. I was trying to think of anything that would be comparable. Really, in the NHL, all the controversies around stuff have always been more franchise related.
Yeah, basically.
And marketing the game. That's where you get your stuff. Or things like if you want to go back to the Lindros arbitration hearing, if you or any of the lotteries that many people think were tampered with. Those are really the
Yep.
only
It's
like
always league stuff.
league things, but they're not really related to on ice things, other than Crosby being a Penguin.
Hmm. That one. See.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but those are like rule changes. Stratic pointing out they've moved lines on the ice and where the nets, the way the nets are anchored and stuff. Putting up the netting was controversial, yes, but a necessary safety feature. But
Yeah.
but again, a lot of these things are like the two line pass, the trapezoid. Those are just like rule changes. Like they're not
Right.
really, you know, the object used. The sports ball is
Yeah.
different now, and it's affecting the
Yeah.
player's ability to do the job. I think that's just something unique to baseball, to be honest, right now. What's going on there?
Yeah, and they've just given how the game is and how I think they're just losing the average person's attention. Hockey's never really had that problem. It's just about like the product has always been quite good, even in the dead
Mm-hmm.
puck era. Like the product, I think was still pretty good.
Yeah,
It's just about marketing it properly.
yeah. And ultimately, we can argue dynasties or not. The bottom line is they never marketed the players, and that's been the difference the last
Yep.
25 years.
Yeah, that matters a lot more than who's winning the championships. Yeah, the netting going up. Yeah, sitting back behind the net as a kid, ready at all times.
You
I can
had to be.
imagine that. Like I was never, I'm too young to have ever gone to a game like that. But that's got to be crazy. When did the Espen Knutson thing happen?
I don't
because that's
remember.
what really spawned the netting is
Yeah.
Espen Knutson, who I believe played for the Columbus Blue Jackets at the time, um, had a shot that went out of play and ended up killing someone. I think it was a young girl in the audience,
Yeah.
and from that point, that's what really spurred the netting to come up.
Um, Michael just in there. Does Mike Smith actually look good today, or is it just my post-surgery pain meds messing with my head? No, he's been really good today. Aaron, thinking it was early 2000s. It has to be because I remember vaguely it like being a news
It was
story.
2002.
Yeah, so 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, she was celebrating her 14th birthday with her family. That's terrible.
Yeah. Uh,
I
yeah.
also feel bad for Knutson because like that's not
Well,
his.
yeah. No, you never want that stuff. Um, Here's a question from Dev Guy. Why didn't Lywicki siphon off front office talent from Tampa? Seems like they have a good system in place. We're just talking about
And
it.
then, yeah, and then Alex saying, why would anyone from the Tampa front office want to leave right now? For a lateral move, it wouldn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
but if you're gonna
Um,
be the guy,
right, but that's the. I mean, it was an option. I think looking at Ron Francis, he had a decent track record, and also he had previous experiences in NHL GM.
hmm
I don't know for an expansion team you want to have someone who's never been an NHL GM before, and certainly not after Vegas's experience, where George McPhee, veteran of the league as a GM, he knows
yeah,
what he's doing, very savvy. Now, I mean, there was Matthew Darsh has been in the
hmm
conversation for a little while, not as much back when the Kraken were looking too, because I mean, keep in mind that's before a lot of the Tampa Dynasty stuff when the
yeah,
Kraken were looking for guys. But Matthew Darsh is the name that I keep hearing kind of thrown around, and he will be a GM in the NHL one day.
hmm
I'm convinced.
yeah. Um, this game is just, I mean, it's just happening now.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
it's
credit to the Flames, they haven't given up. I mean, we've talked about Mike Smith here. He's made some good saves that he's had to make, but yeah, I
yeah, the
mean,
Flames are still putting on a push, but it's
I don't even know if the Flames like were to get one here that it'll ultimately make a difference at this point.
I don't think it will. And I guess also, I mean, like credit to the Oilers, they're not going out trying to make it a 7-8 nothing game.
Right.
They're playing a little bit more reliably as far as just where they're positioning themselves
Yeah.
defensively.
Do you think
Uh,
that do you think that's helped by the fact that Kane got the hat trick? Like if he was sitting on 2 goals, do you think when that line's out there, they're pushing it a little bit more?
I think he would. Yeah, I think he would be. But I think everyone's like, okay, this is enough. And most teams, you would probably not be all that happy with them going into the defensive shell like they have been.
Mm-mm.
But for the Oilers, just given their history, it's actually a bit of a relief if you're looking for them to do the right things.
I'm sure Stratic let us know. Um, let's see. Sandpipes talk about an MLB. They had the issue with the netting too. People complained about the blocked sight lines, but too many people were getting hit by bats and balls. They were. I mean, and I don't know. I've never understood the argument because I've been to baseball games pre and post netting. You still see what's happening. Like
Mhm.
I just I don't know. Our eyes are built to focus on different things. Like it's okay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know. Um, let's see. Stratic. It's crazy to see how the glass was in the 50s and 60s. Refs and linesmen would actually jump on the ledge of the half boards and grab the top of the glass to get themselves out of play. Even into
Yep.
the 80s, a lot of the glass was low enough to do that cat jump move for sure. And at the end of the day, like, well, I guess attendance is becoming less and less of the lifeblood of sports. MLB being the best example of that, as the TV
Oh,
contracts
Lucic
matter
just
way
ran
more.
over Mike Smith.
Yeah, he did. That's definitely a penalty.
See, this is all that Lucic is good for at this point. Yeah, that was.
I mean,
He took the path straight through him.
I was
That
gonna
I
say he
mean,
saw him the whole way. He had plenty of
he needs
time
to be
to
kicked out
change
of the
his
game.
change
That's
his path. Well, yeah,
That is garbage.
they'll for sure pull. Oh my gosh, Espen ready with that Battle of Alberta fighting major stat. You know they were sitting on that this whole
Oh,
game.
totally. They were just waiting for the line brawl. Yeah,
Um,
that is absolute garbage.
yep, there he is, Lucic being Lucic.
Yep, and not surprised at all to see that from him. How many
But
times does he have to do stuff like this before?
with
I don't
this
know.
player safety, guys, like,
Yeah, well,
come
yeah,
on.
forever. They'll never have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Probably won't even get fined.
But Mike Smith up because his legs go in awkward. So I was
Yeah.
worried about that, but he's up and he's skating.
Yeah, I was worried about that. And I will say, like, Mike Smith, this is probably not the time to say it, but Mike Smith, is known for diving. He will embellish a play. He will really play it up if he gets touched. But that one, Lucic just drove straight through him into the boards.
Oh yeah, no.
That one, this was not the case at all right now. I was quite worried for him there because his legs were all kind of tangled up weird.
Yeah.
That's what you worry about, is that you like pull something getting shoved in the boards. All right, first replay I'm seeing of it now. So he gets kind of locked up footwise, and then Lucic, but yeah, he like drives his upper body kind of through him. And I mean, yeah, the skates kind of get tangled up, but like, what are you doing?
I mean, look,
Contact at all?
he's stopping, but in slow motion, even that's a late point to be throwing on your hockey
really
stop.
late point to be stopping. You can't expect
at
to
the
come
goal
to a stop
line.
by
Yeah,
that
no.
point. And you see a few strides that he takes. He's going in there fast.
Yeah. And yet you're still far enough out. Like, I could see him thinking maybe, well, I'm just gonna shove him up against the glass, but he's far enough away from the glass that that's not gonna be what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And Lucic has hit enough people to know that that's not what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Let's see what the call is. Everybody else sitting in the penalty box gets 2 minutes for roughing.
I love it. Oh, gotta love that.
And so yeah, Lucic, they're giving him a major that's going to go to review now. That should stand in my book. I think
I don't see why it wouldn't.
A major. Then again, after like the other call, what was it on Hagel today, getting changed to a minor? You never know. I thought that one was a major for sure, but that one got changed. So
yeah, I didn't see that one.
But yeah, Michael's saying that's a suspension. It should be, but given the Department of Player Safety, I'm not counting on it. I don't think it will be, just because they seem to like the way that Lucic plays.
I could see it being a 1-game suspension, just because you can't have guys taking runs at goalies. Like you have to have a precedent.
Differently that it's a goalie. If you know.
Yeah, if that's just like if that's just an awkward boarding on a defenseman.
Then no way.
Right. But this is a goalie who's playing the puck at an appropriate time.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, he doesn't really make an effort to stop.
Yeah. Looking at the comment. He trying to stop, then leans into Mike. He could have just destroyed him flat out. And yeah, Ty, if Luch was trying to take him out, it would be done. I don't know that he was necessarily trying to take him out, but reckless is the word that I would use, even if it wasn't the full intent to run him over. Absolutely reckless to be stopping at that point, and driving through the goalie.
Right. Because
and if you play recklessly like that, you need to be held accountable for that.
Right. He should be starting his stop, like his skate should be sideways at the top of the crease, and instead they get there as he's passing the goal line.
Yeah. Major stands. Yeah. Game misconduct. That's the right call.
All right, so that's game for sure.
Yeah, game
because essentially half of this,
wasn't,
because essentially for half of this is just going to be a power play.
Koskinen's coming in. So yeah, Elliot Friedman suggesting that it might be a spotter pulling Smith, which makes sense given kind of
there's no reason to leave him in. Play it safe.
I think the official's talking to him there. Yeah, this tweet: Ryan Miller standing 5 feet away from the TV in the living room screaming.
Yeah.
Like I said, Lucic has done this before.
Yep.
And worse.
Yep. Yeah, I agree, Ty. Their helmets, goaltending helmets, are the next thing in my mind that's going to be changed because we've seen too many like injuries or potential injuries in recent
With
years
them flying off like that.
with them flying off and with the lack of protection on the back. So if they fall backwards at all, your head's just essentially hitting the ice. Like,
Yeah. I think it's an area certainly where you can continue to innovate and improve things. That's
yeah,
for sure. And we've seen that too over the last, you know, I will really forever since goalie helmets
yes.
invented. You've seen that. So they're going to continue to do that.
um,
Like this tweet from Georges Larac. You remember Georges
yeah.
Larac?
Oh yeah.
He said, "Okay, at Edmonton Oilers, sign me up. Got someone to destroy. My God, what was that?
Let's go.
Line him up."
Gosh, what a blast from the past with that name.
I actually have a Georges Larac jersey. You know this
I know
at
you
home.
do. Yes. Um, the elbow did hit Smith's head. Wasn't the principal point of contact, but it was super reckless. It's from Strayatic. Um, yeah, if you're gonna do a dirty hit, Mike Smith is crazy low on the on the list in this series. Agreed. I
I
mean,
know.
that's
Yeah.
why I was saying earlier it was remarkable we hadn't seen anybody take a run at McDavid. Like I know Smith has been good in this game, but still, if you're gonna be like that Lucic in this game that you feel like is over, and you're just gonna try to do something that could impact next game, this is not the guy to target.
No, it's quite low on the list, and you're going to get extra flack for it because it's the goalie. I, it's just
Mm-hmm.
not smart.
Um,
All right, now if you had told me before the game that we were going to see Mikko Koskinen tonight, I would have thought this game would go very differently for the Oilers.
yeah, me too. See, this is I will say this about Woodcroft. I just don't like his little smug face that he makes. He always looks
Especially
smug.
right after the Smith hit, he
Yeah,
was playing that up. He was making
yeah,
that face quite a bit.
that's the stuff. Like John Cooper, Mike Sullivan, Barry Trotz, they don't do that kind of stuff.
No, they don't. He's got to go back and look at the video there, the video coach, just to be like,
Yeah,
all right, draw that one up for him. So yeah, Koskin's coming in. What's all this? All the hold up here. I'm still sorting things out.
yeah, they're probably still sorting it out, and then, I mean, giving him a second to come in.
Yeah. You get like Koskinen just kind of gets stretched more. Look at all the guys in the box for Calgary. There's 4 of them.
Yeah, they're probably figuring out two things like, okay, when the penalty ends, who's coming
Oh,
out of the
that's
box, all that kind of
who's
stuff.
coming off. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
All the logistical bureaucracy paperwork stuff.
Yep. Yeah, that's. Oh my god. Look at how close Smith's head is to the boards there.
Yeah. No, the fact that even in slow mo it still looks as bad as it does is telling.
Yep. All right, 5-minute power play.
Stratic, though, pointing out that sets a bad precedent. Run the goalie, make sure you tap the head. Goalie removed from the game. I mean, that there
Yeah,
needs
I
to be a
mean-
huge deterrent to touching the goalie's head for that reason. That is true. You know,
Yeah.
you're running into Shesterkin or an Ottinger. Just run them, make contact with the head, have them, forced from the game.
I mean, that is an unfortunate reality also, and just in general, whether it's a goalie or otherwise, or,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, I mean,
skater.
you could do that to McDavid. They're gonna pull him.
Right. And you at any point you in theory could do that, and the way that the rules are set up, you will get rewarded for that. The worst that's going to happen to you is a major and a suspension, and certainly if the game's already over like it is tonight, then you're relying on a suspension. And certainly if you've got a guy who's like a Milan Lucic, where if he gets suspended even the rest of the series, your lineup's probably better off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ryan Reeves is this way too, where when he got suspended, I think it was like for a game or something in a Vegas series, after targeting the head of a useful player, they're like, okay, yeah, we just get to ice a better lineup now. This is something that the teams have been doing, and it's just an unfortunate reality of it.
And that's why you need a better Department of Player Safety
Yes.
who's going to make suspensions that are more meaningful and hurtful.
Yep. And
then
that's only when you actually do get punished.
right.
Usually you just get away with it. Usually there
Yeah.
is no
Yeah,
suspension.
they go, well, we factor in the fact that he was, he got that game misconduct, and so that was enough.
Right.
Forgetting that, yeah, the game was already over, that doesn't mean anything.
So it really pays to to headshot guys. It benefits you
Yeah,
completely in a playoff series.
right. And that's why I lost my mind with the whole Tom Wilson Panarin thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just like, how do you not suspend him for that? You have to. When they're targeting star players, the punishment does need to be that much worse, in my opinion.
Yep.
Because those are the guys who would be targeted cheaply in those ways, and those are also the guys that drive people wanting to show up for games and stuff. So you have two very good reasons to make punishments worse, whether when it's a goaltender or a star player, in my opinion.
Yep. No, agreed. And there's every incentive to do that. The only
Yeah.
incentive not to is just, out of the decency, human decency that you have.
Yes.
And that's the only incentive not to, but that's often not enough. I mean, you
Right.
look at the lengths that players will go in the playoffs to
Yeah.
win,
Yeah.
and there's usually someone who's willing to cross that line.
Right. And this whole idea of not protecting those people either for whatever reason. I never understood that argument. And Ty pointing out, yeah, the max fine is $5,000.
Yeah, that's and especially when you have players openly mocking it, oh, best
Yes.
money I ever spent. You've heard that response so often from guys who have been fined, like, yeah, no, I'll pay that again.
Yeah.
It's
Milan Lucic, five and a quarter.
huh?
5.25 for Milan Lucic this year. That's his contract. Think he cares about 5 or 10 grand over the course of a season to make a difference like that?
Yeah, no. Are they giving McDavid a penalty here?
Looks like it, based on how dejected he looks.
All right, well, that's pretty much it for the power play then.
Calgary within 10 shots, couldn't even tell. They were playing better. Sneakily they were playing better. It was just the Oilers were kind of seeding it, and they were seeding the ground, and they were letting them get bad shots. So they weren't necessarily high danger shots on Smith.
Mm-hmm.
But they really were closing that gap since it was been 3-0. What were you saying about McJesus?
Oh, I was saying they seemed eager to call that penalty on him. That wasn't much of a hold.
I didn't think so either. I don't know if they're just they're just going to call everything now just to keep it from getting out of hand.
Yeah.
Not that was one of those situations, but you're in Edmonton too. You don't even need to worry about the crowd per se.
No, you don't. I mean, like, everyone should be on your side there, and it was a legit major. I mean, you're not.
Yeah, Stratic saying just a bit lazy there. Hunter, do you think the Kraken will trade some of the second rounders they accumulated at the trade deadline for an established star, or just use the picks? They're going to for sure be active in trading them. Ron Francis said as much, saying he didn't want to have to make all those picks. You and I, RJ, have both said numerous times they should be interested in doing that too. So I think for sure it'll happen. The only question is where does it happen? Does it happen for a Tyson Barrie type player, or a Cody Ceci type player?
Yep. Oh, or a forward. I mean, that's still something that's on the table. Francis basically outlined what he feels the three needs are, and it's top 6 forward, top 9 forward, and then that puck moving defenseman. And I think the picks will be used to get one of those. Yeah, and like you mentioned, he said himself he doesn't want to make all those picks, so I don't anticipate that he will.
No, I'm gonna actually go ahead since this.
If they do use all that picks, I think we can consider it a failure.
Yeah. Trying to think of teams that be. I was gonna say, do you think the Islanders start a sell-off soon? Of the older guys, the Brock Nelsons of the world.
Probably. I mean, if I was them, I'd probably try and do that. You've got those guys on term. I mean, you're thinking like Brock Nelson specifically?
Yeah.
I do like Brock Nelson's game. I really do like what he brings. How much term does he have left?
That would be the only concern, is that he's going to be 31 this season, and he's going to have 3 years of term total.
Yeah.
At 6, but if you get a little bit of retention on that, it's probably not the worst.
Yeah, I don't know that they'd be willing to do that.
Yeah.
But
That was just the first team that I looked at too. So
right. But yeah, you could probably get some of those guys instead of going out and signing the, that middle tier free agents. Because good luck getting them on like a 3x6 deal. They're gonna want more term than that. Versus you maybe go out of Brock Nelson. Unfortunately, it seems like Nylander's off the table. Leafs didn't have an epic enough collapse for that. That was our dream.
I know. Fiala, we talked about. Nylander.
That's gonna be more expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think worth it. Line A again would be more expensive, but worth it.
Yep. And then there's guys that you aren't, on the market necessarily openly, that it's always, end up getting moved. I love that from Doug Wilson, when Sharks GM, when he was in his heyday, he'd be like, oh yeah, we're going after a guy that nobody's talking about. He would just say that. And it's true. No one was talking about it. Oh, there's Mike Smith coming back. Or is he going back to the tunnel? I don't know. Looks like he's coming back. Yep. There he goes. Yep. Mike Smith back in the game.
Well, is he in the game or is he?
Well, yeah, he's going to be.
Yeah. You have to. If he's cleared to play, you got to put him back out there just as a show of
why not?
Not letting you get to him. The Capitals are going to be a team, I think, that is going to have to take a hard, long look at themselves. That being said, you probably just got to keep going for it as long as you have Ovechkin.
You do. As long as you have Ovechkin, you have to just keep going for it. They're not in a position to move anyone.
It's tough. There's not a lot of teams out there. A lot of teams are either in their competitive window or don't have anybody you'd want.
Yeah, and that's why I think you'd be better off going after the defenseman for that and really trying to get one of those top two free agents. If you're going to go for it. I've been looking also into the history of those like really top line free agent forward contracts, and it's not great, but I'll have something on that a little bit later.
Winnipeg, if they blow it up, is the place to look, I guess.
Yeah.
If you can get,
for sure.
Ehlers.
I don't know if they'd move any of their top guys. I think Scheifele would be the one that they'd move, and I don't think he fits.
No, he doesn't.
Like, what's Blake Wheeler's?
Blake Wheeler's got 2 years left at 8.25, so you definitely need retention.
At 8.25, you said?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What's his production like?
It's not Forsberg Gaudreau production.
Okay, it's not what it was because it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, he was never like a 30-goal scorer, but he was at least going to produce offense for you, and he'd help out the power play a lot.
He was a point-per-game player at least for like 5 seasons.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. He's more of a setup man.
Yeah, no, totally. But yeah, he doesn't. So point being, he doesn't fit.
Yeah.
I just don't think they'll move Connor or Ehlers, and those would be the two that you'd go after.
Yeah.
Um,
Chicago.
Hi, RJ, mandatory T-Birds playoff game appearance. Yeah, I'm going to game 3.
Yay.
In a couple days, Tuesday night. So I will be there. Yeah, if anyone who's watching this is there, like, come say hi. I'll tweet where I am. But yeah, really looking forward to that. Oh, what a shot. Is that Shillington? Yeah. Look at that shot from Shillington, Dylan.
I know. I'm waiting
it's
for
your
the
boy
replay now. Let's see it. Could have been on the Kraken. Sitting at home instead of scoring here in the playoffs.
Yep. That was a laser.
Oh, yeah. Smith had no chance.
Wow. All right, 3-goal game.
We've
seen crazier things.
Who made that pass across, too?
Oh, yeah, no, that was a good pass. Who did make that?
It was a good walk-in and then pass.
Give me a sec. I'll find out who it was. That was Calle Yarncroke.
All right, there we go.
That was our boy.
See what it could have been on the Kraken.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Yarn Crow. He's been quiet this playoffs.
Very, extremely. That being said, I don't think they've asked him to like, score a bunch of goals. That hasn't really
No,
been
they've
his
had him
job.
centering, I think, a
Yeah.
really defensive oriented third line. They've given him some tough spots. And yeah, just asked him basically to have it be quiet. Who's 15? Is that Archibald that just got taken down there?
I don't know.
I think that's Archibald, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Aaron asking what was Smith doing there, just flinging his body over to the
Yeah.
side because that's all you can do. That shot was perfectly placed.
Yeah.
And Smith always looks a little bit weird, just goaltending style wise.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. Yeah, Oilers just openly taking the puck backwards, repeatedly draining the clock. No shame. I mean, it makes sense, but that's what happens when you play that way. It's like a prevent defense. You're gonna give up something. Perfectly fine with not overspending on a forward this year from Aaron. I am too. I'd rather
same.
just keep it going. Oh, and the bot has found us.
Oh no, we did so well for so long.
I know. Elite Koskinen didn't give up the shutout. Agreed. That would have been bad. Yeah, Hunter, we talked about the Geo extension earlier. That is unbelievable. To basically get him for league minimums, such a deal for them.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can't not like it. It's just, it's great value.
And then my mom earlier up there, does Peros, Department of Player Safety, so George Peros, still have his clothing line called Violent Gentleman? You think he cares about player safety? He reaps the reward from a violent reputation of the NHL. Was that his, or was he just like the model?
I don't know what his level of involvement was in that, but I definitely do associate it with him.
I do too. That's a good pull.
I mean, the Department of Player Safety, like it's laughable how they've gotten kind of goons to run it. It's you'd be hard pressed to do like a worse job from a PR standpoint, in that respect. I mean, it fits what they do. So I mean, in some ways, it matches exactly if that's the image you want to have.
Yeah. But yeah, it's yes, in that sense, he does have potentially an actual interest in keeping the league that way, which is certainly not what you'd want. I would assume when he started working, they might have made him divest any ownership
probably.
stake interest he had, but yeah, not great. Aaron, ELC standing for exit level contract in this case for Geo.
Yep, basically.
Yeah. Like
Joe Thornton's been on one of those for a couple of years.
Yeah. Stratic, we need to trade one of the second round picks to get Tampa's second back from Ottawa as part of the Ottinger offer sheet scheme, so there's one pick taken care of. Man, I was actually gonna I was trying to be serious reading the beginning, making sure I was understanding it.
No, back to the Ottinger offer sheet. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna look at the Kraken's picks. Well, they have their own first, second. They have all their own picks that they would need.
Is this all a ploy, Striatic, just so that Dallas gets to keep Ottinger for really cheap? So you'll work it out so that the Kraken would offer sheet him at 4, and then Dallas just gets to keep him at 4.
Wait, no. The idea I think his thing is right. You get Tampa to offer sheet Ottinger and then flip him to Seattle.
Yeah, that's true.
So no, Tampa needs one of their. Oh.
Yeah.
No, because they don't even have their. You need to get their first back. They gave up their first in the Hagel deal.
So now Chicago's involved.
Yeah, now Chicago's involved. Answer that. Yeah, because their first round picks goes to Chicago. Their second one belongs to. Also
but was
Chicago,
that right?
Tyler Johnson trade.
I was gonna say, is that their first from this year? Which one was their first from this year?
Well, no, they have their own first from this year.
Okay.
But it would be next year's first.
Yeah.
So actually, Chicago owns both of those, which I suppose does simplify things for you, Stratic. Yes. Don't let that encourage you, though.
No, I want to see it. I want you, Stratic, to go full Charlie from Sunny, like that meme where he's standing from the mailroom episode, where he's just got it all connected behind him with all the threads on all the everything. That's what I imagine Stratic's house trying to make this offer sheet work. I love it. I like the passion. You gotta love the passion, RJ.
Yeah. So wait, what offer sheet tier are you suggesting, Striatic? Is it first, second, and third?
I think it was potentially might have to be multiple first.
Well, because two first, a second, and a third would be over 8.4 mil.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that?
No.
So
there we go. Just hire his goalie coach.
oh yeah,
Hey,
there you go.
wait, wasn't he the one person they kept when Dallas just cleaned house?
I think it might have been.
Or was that a different team?
I don't remember. Yeah, some team cleaned house and kept the goalie coach.
Kept the goalie coach. I think it was Dallas, which would make a lot of sense.
Yep. Okay, so Stratic would say first, second, and third. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want Tampa to do it, you've got to go get their first and second back from Chicago.
Yeah.
And that would probably get pretty pricey.
Ty, seeing tweets calling Calgary Toronto West. But they made it out of the first round.
If they wanted to be Toronto West, they had every opportunity to let Jake Ottinger steal that game 7. That would have been Toronto West. This is not Toronto West. Hey, with the Gio Brody pairing together for another couple of years, Toronto gonna be Calgary East.
Yeah, that is true. All right, RJ.
Johnny Gaudreau, fake slap shot, didn't do anything.
It does feel though that these series are pretty heavily slanted, with the exception of the Colorado one, although potentially with Binnington out now. Like these series do not feel close at all. Like a lot of people felt they were going into the second round.
No, it's true. Although didn't you say that you felt the series would be a lot shorter?
Yes, I said that, and again, these are more examples of what I said somehow happening, and I don't appreciate that. But
no, they do.
I get that sense.
Well,
yeah.
no, because I think that the Rangers series is closer than, because I think the Rangers have been the better team in 2 of the 3 games, and they're trailing the series.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because Carolina's involved, so home team will win everything and they'll take it in 7. Which, yes, is
that not a close series?
Well, it's a close series, but if we're saying that after 2 or 3 games into it, then it's certainly not dramatic and enjoyable.
I know that looks like the most likely thing now, but you really think that neither team is going to win a road game in that series? I think you're going to have a road win at some point.
Yeah, Carolina will win game 4.
In which case it wouldn't be close anymore, but it hasn't happened.
But like this series, I don't see after this game any way for Calgary to win this series.
You don't think they'll wake up?
No. At what point do they wake up? When do they wake up?
Such a flawed team, huh?
They haven't woken up this entire playoffs, RJ. At what point do they wake up? What more does it take for them to wake up? You just let Evander Kane score a natural hat trick on you?
Not being bad like Markstrom was. I know their problems do not start there, but if you can get a couple saves that maybe you have no business getting, I don't know. Against a team with a solid foundation, then I would say no, Calgary's done. But the Oilers are shaky, and I know Mike Smith just had his one incredible game of the series, so it feels like they can't be beat. But that's not going to happen every game.
There's nobody on this Calgary team that can slow down McDavid and Evander Kane.
Well, not individually.
No, but even as a team, they can't.
If they played the right way, they could. And I know that, and that basically involves waking up.
And if you could say that about any team. If Florida had just figured out their power play sooner, they wouldn't be down 3-0 to Tampa. You know what I mean?
I'm watching the highlights here of this second Kane goal, and I'm like, if the Flames just get a proper line change, they've slowed down McDavid and Kane.
I was gonna say that's the highlight. Everybody, just send me that as a little GIF under the Slavkovsky scouting report when I say, he's not going to get away with this against NHL defensemen. Just send me that. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, just the straight line speed going to the net.
I like this from Alex. They're just Vancouver East. That's more appropriate.
There it is.
In fairness to me, there are many NHL GMs who also do not know the offer sheet rules. That is true.
Yep. Because you're not going to actually do it.
Hmm.
But if you're a coward, you don't need to know what the rules are
Yeah,
over this thing you're too scared to use.
exactly. Alex, Tampa paid an extremely steep price for Hagel, but he's only 23. Basically, they committed to him being around for a long while. I agree. I've completely changed my opinion on that trade. At the deadline, I was kind of skeptical about it. Um, no, it was a good move from them.
Oh, I've gone the other direction on it. At the deadline, I was like, this is so savvy and smart. And I like agree with that on paper, but I just haven't been the most impressed by his playoff. He's had some moments, but like a little scattered.
When he replaces Killorn, RJ, you'll see it
Fair enough.
because that's the long term play.
Yeah. I just don't know if
He'll replace Palat or Killorn.
I don't know if he can do that effectively. We'll see.
I mean, will he be as great as like Palat has been? Maybe not, but you're not paying him as much, so it's okay.
Right.
And you'll have potentially won 3 in a row by then, so does it really matter?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're stacking your. I like the strategy in general, bringing the low cost depth player and have him slot in. Like that's great.
Yeah.
Pay extra to do it. That to get your guy. That's fine.
Where's the Sutter playoff magic? It doesn't exist with this group. I don't get it.
I know it's weird. This doesn't feel like any Sutter team that we've known in the past. And I'm talking all the way back to his first Calgary days, his first stint there. That team seemed to have that magic too, and this one just feels off.
Yeah. I do believe
kids are too the old style of coaching doesn't work nowadays.
I guess not. I do believe, Ty, that the kid was in the building. I forget his name too, but they did do they showed some stuff building, from him. Yeah. Do you go Vladar game 4? I do.
Yeah, I would. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Markstrom's broken. And you need a spark.
Mm-hmm. Alex, I was low-key kind of annoyed that Florida got served up a star player at bargain bin price, but it doesn't seem like it will matter. That's true.
Yep.
He's played well for them too. Like
he has. No, Giroux's done great.
Yeah.
It's not on him that they're not doing well.
Just been a rough one. Ugh.
How much term does Markstrom have left? 4 years after this one, and he's 32 already.
Yeah, he's sneaky old. The bot.
Never sign goalies to term.
They're trying to satisfy the online wishes again.
Oh no. Okay, well that one's better. That's the one from last time.
Yeah. Make the offer sheet rules less complicated.
There we go. Yeah, what was our wish from last time? Did we get it? What game were we streaming?
The Florida Tampa game 1. Was it Kraken related? Did we have it?
I feel like it might have been 2 streams ago.
Yeah. There we go, Stratic. Oilers are undefeated with him at home games.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, they did lose that one game in LA, but
it was in their cup run.
Home is what matters. Oh, all right, RJ. We made it through the lackluster Battle of Alberta game.
I know. Of course, the game we streamed. I mean, at least it had a hat trick. It had some McDavid.
It did. The second period was fun. The second period had
a game misconduct and a major penalty.
Yes. Got to explore some more options for the Kraken. Always enjoyed that. Got to talk the draft and some prospects. Always enjoyed that.
Yep.
Got to had my obligatory back and forth with Striatic about Slavkovsky.
Yep.
So we did that. That was good. Yeah, no, I thought this was a fun time as always.
Yeah, no, fun stream. I always love doing this with people. Get to check in with you with you guys every now and again. Whenever news comes up, especially today with like the Kraken stuff and the Slovak player, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get on the stream and talk to people about it. And yeah, it's just nice to be able to do that.
Yes.
I do miss having Kraken results to talk about, though.
Yes, that is. I do wish there was a little bit more Kraken news, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. It'll be a busy off season for them.
Yeah. Oh gosh, come on, man.
Even you, Dylan.
Even me. Yep. I feel like that was very targeted. that bot. Yeah, RJ making his feelings on Luch pretty clear. Yeah, no, anytime you want to hear an earful, just bring up Milan Lucic with RJ.
Yeah, I've got my thoughts. You know this.
Yep, that's right. No early bedtime for Striatic. It's good for you. Happy for you. First chat I've joined in a while. Thanks for doing this, fellas. No worries, Aaron. We need red glare opinion though. I know we've kind of just been doing those between rounds.
Yeah.
Beer league tonight for me after this, Aaron. Well, good luck.
Nice. That's great.
And then Stratic, I'm super excited about the Kraken off season, but really I just want more Kraken games. I know. It's a shame we gotta wait so long for that. All right, here's what I want from everybody while everybody's still here. Homework assignment.
Okay.
Go out and find a player that you would want to, trade like one or two of the second round picks for. Like that you
That's a
think
good
would work.
assignment there.
I really would. I'm curious to know what some of you think and the creative steps you might go to find guys too, because it is a tough one looking at it, but I'm sure there are some gems out there that we could find. The Donskoys of the world.
Yep, bring him back for the next stream, and we will cover every single person you bring up.
Yeah,
we'll talk about him.
Fiala doesn't count, Ty. We've talked about him too.
We already talked about Fiala.
Yeah,
and the idea of trading number 4 for Fiala.
Yeah, so DeBrusque, that's not a bad one. But we'll talk about it. All the second round picks from Mike Smith. Is that to help the Kraken or to help the Oilers, Striatic? Be honest.
Yeah, Striatic. Come on.
Be honest.
The allegiance with. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that'll be a fun one, and yes, we'll bring up DeBrusque next time, Hunter, because I think that's an interesting one. That whole situation is interesting, and I was looking at Boston. He's the only guy who kind of makes sense too.
Yeah.
Unless you want Taylor Hall, RJ.
No.
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 Not even gonna like trick you into being enthusiastic and giving a hot take. You're just a tired no.
That's where we are at this point with Taylor Hall, I feel like, in his career.
It's just a tired no. All right. Well, with that, I think we'll go ahead and call this stream. Thanks everybody for joining us for this one. Do another one soon. We'll see how things shake out this week. But at least all the graduation stuff's over and done with my sister. Congrats to her or whatever. I've already said it a million times. She knows. So the schedule should be easier to do another one of these later this week, which will be fun. If you have a game in mind you guys want, let us know.
Yeah,
we'll see if we can make it happen.
We're looking for another one, so
we probably got to try to do one of these Colorado St. Louis games.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Well, we can.
I know. Striatic just trading second round picks for next year's second round picks.
There you go.
Just doing the reverse Madden, RJ.
Mm-hmm.
Where you could just trade your next year's picks for picks this year, and then just do that again the next year, and you never have to pay the piper.
Yep,
it's perfect.
So, there you go.
Yes, Ty, a Colorado game. All right, there we go. As the bot's back in third time, means we gotta go, I guess. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks for joining us for this one. Oh damn, I already said see you next time. I have no ender.
Bye everyone.
Goodbye.